All right, we got Saltwater Cowboy, Tim Mcbride in. Thank you for coming in. Pot hauler.
My pleasure.
Marijuana
man.
smuggler. Thank you for coming in, man. And a pirate.
Yeah, well, a lot of that too.
So before we get into your whole life and how all this started and then ended and where you're at now, tell me about the pirate thing. What is it like to be a pirate?
Well, I guess that viewpoint of mine doesn't come till in retrospect, when I look back on all of this stuff, and I think about the things that I did and things I got myself into, and, running the Caribbean in these southern waters with impunity. And having, when you go back and think about it in retrospect like that, and my ass goes like that, thinking about all the stuff I got myself involved in, and we've always been called modern day pirates, without the traditional pirate theme and all that kind of stuff. But pirates by way of, being able to get away with things in the Caribbean that most people weren't able to get away with.
So so when you wake up, so now, we're way fast forwarding and then we'll go back and
Sure.
how you built, but I just can't get over the pirate thing because I've never met a pirate. I've met everybody else but a pirate. So when you wake up in the morning and you're with your pirate crew, right? What is it? What's the day of a pirate? Like from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, if you guys go to bed.
Yeah. Day in the life of a modern day Chokoloskee pirate, I guess, would be you wake up, you put on your jeans, you cut off jean shorts, and that's all. No shoes, no shirt, no nothing, and just cruise the island and find, who's up, who's doing what, find somebody to burn one with, do a wake and bake, that kind of thing. Most of the days are spent, goofing off and primarily trying to figure out ways of how to spend money without having anything to show for it. And that was something that the adults taught us early on. When you're in this game and you're just turned 20 and you're making, $100,000 a week, and you have this terrible urge at the beginning just to go, wow, I can go buy anything I want to, but then the adults kind of pull you back and rein you in, and they showed us how to spend money without having anything to show for it. So we would, a typical day would be, just for instance, I went into town one day just to go grocery shopping, and I passed the Taylor Chevrolet on the way out, and I saw this Corvette in the parking lot. And it was badass, man. It had big tires, it had mag rims, and it was, low profile and stuff, and I just wheeled in there to check it out. And turned out to be the owner of the dealership's son traded it in for something else, and it was for sale. And I said, I want that car. So I'm standing in there making out a deal to buy the car, and as I'm doing this, I'm calling a buddy of mine from Everglades. So I drove my Cobra into town, and I wasn't going to turn my Cobra in. I wanted that thing. So I called back to Everglades, and I asked a couple of my buddies, and I said, come on, I'll drive up here and take my Cobra back home. And as I'm on the phone, I'm looking out the parking lot, and they got like Jeeps, ragtop Jeeps for sale for under $10,000. Brand new. You can buy a brand new Jeep for like $89.95 or some shit like that.
Now, like, what year is this right now?
This is 83, 84.
Oh shit! But $100,000 in 83, 84 is like half a mil right now, if not more.
When $17,000 a year was a good salary. I mean,
Right.
It was a good living at that time.
Yeah, so it's at least 4 or 5 times as much now.
Right. So I called a bunch of buddies up, and while I had them on the phone, I said, hey, get Jimmy, Tommy, Teddy, Willie, bring them boys up here, man. They got Jeeps for sale up here, and at that time was, or even still, anything $10,000 or more in a purchase, you have to fill out what's called a CTR, cash transaction receipt, so they can claim it to the IRS. Well, a lot of people we did business with didn't bother with that. They'd make payments. We make installments till they were paid off. But in this case, they're cash under $10,000. So here these guys come about 30 minutes later and pile out of this car, and we all buy a Jeep. We got 7 of them. I left my new car there, I left my Cobra there, and we took off to Bad Luck Prairie with these Jeeps and had one badass demolition derby with these things.
So basically, it was just like any other type of crew type of thing. You wake up and
kids, man.
The entire day is based around how can you score,
looking for something to do.
And then once you make a score, then you go buy shit basically and have fun, and then you do the same thing over and over and over again.
Over and over. And in the evenings, it's go into town and go to a club and take it over.
Yeah.
Go into the champagne room and just take it over.
Like buy it all out.
Take the tab. Take the tab for the whole club.
Everybody loves you, kissing your ass until something happens, and then nobody's fucking there.
Yeah. And with the Jeeps, we'd beat the shit out of them until there was like one of them's good enough to get all 7 of us back to town, and we'd drive this thing back into town. park it and grab our shit and go home, and then at night it's like going to town, take 50, 60 grand into town with you at night, and just try to come back with, $11 and change.
and remember, this is the 80s.
This is the 80s.
Right? So,
there's some spending going on.
There's some spending going on.
Some serious, take the bar and, don't, top shelf, bottom shelf, I don't care what they're buying. Just, let me know when it runs out. If it runs out, and if it does, I'll throw some more on there. I'll get Jimmy, throw his 50 grand on there,
Out of all of it, is that what you miss the most? Just being able to just do whatever you want, when you want, buy what you want?
Yeah, I think that was the most fun of it all, I think. Of course, the pot hauling itself is a lot of fun.
Well, that's like, because you're on the edge all the time. Right?
Yeah, that's adrenaline kind of fun going on there.
Right, but when you can walk into a club or a bar or a restaurant or anywhere you want and just buy the place out and whoever's there, hey, it's on me.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
I went into town one evening with a buddy of mine in his old pickup truck, and I said, dude, we're not going to the club in this thing. We're just coming up to the Nissan dealership. I said, pull in there. So we pulled in, and I knew the brothers in the family that owned all the Nissans. They actually own the Moss Marine in Fort Myers too now. Still, they own the gambling boats and all that kind of stuff. So back in those days, I could pull in there and buy anything I wanted to, cash. So we go in there, and I said, told him pick out a new truck. And he picked out this badass, nice little 4Runner or whatever it was like that. And I looked over at my buddy. I said, I'll see you tomorrow, dude. Just drive out of there with the truck.
Dude, I remember being like that in my heyday too. I wouldn't get in like a Toyota Camry or like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Back then. But, now looking back, it's like, Jesus, I was such an asshole. Just a narcissistic, not worse than Matt Cox, but,
right. I think it was more of, I just wanted to buy this guy a new truck, because this thing was like, I can imagine myself trying to drive this thing, but it wasn't so much not wanting to show up at the club in this piece of shit truck as it was, just give him a thrill and buy him a new truck.
Yeah, it's like you can.
Yeah.
You can. And then, for me, in my time, it was fun to see other people, like to see other people's faces when you would be like, hey, you want that? All right. And they can't believe it,
Right.
Now, when you compare today's marijuana to back then, the quality wise,
right?
Because you were dealing with the real deal, Holyfield. What would you how compare the two quality wise? And I'm not talking about like all the oil crap that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the
real
marijuana,
the bud
but
itself.
The bud itself, yeah.
Right. See, in those days we were dealing with they were all landrace strains.
What's that mean?
Landrace strains are the original strains. They're the original Punta Roja, the original Colombian Gold, the original Colombian Red. Those seeds. Now they've been contaminated and hybrided to a point where those landrace seeds are very, very hard to find. And if you can find them, you can pull out a pretty decent product. Now, comparing apples to peaches, there's really no comparison when you talk about potency. It ain't your daddy's weed they're selling today, man. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But back in the days when we're doing the Colombian weed, or we're picking from different spots around the Caribbean, particularly Jamaica. And the Jamaicans were really good at growing some really nice stuff. If it come out of Jamaica, you can probably, it ranks up there with the stuff that's out today. Because those Ethiopian Zions knew how to grow weed. Dude.
So when you got that call or that whatever you had back, walkie-talkie, you knew it was going to be a good one.
Yeah, if we're going to Jamaica, it's going to be a good run.
So you would say if the runs were from Jamaica, it would be comparable to today's, but
right.
At the time being because it was coming from Colombia, but now it's coming from Mexico.
Right.
But back then it was Colombia. That wasn't as good as today's.
No, gosh, no. We're talking about maybe 6-7% THC back in the day to now they're up towards 30%
on regular like dry
on just bud.
30% on dry?
30%.
Wow.
They cracked that 30% mark about 3 years ago.
How do you think they do that? Is that chemical?
Just hybriding, just putting different breeds together, and the growing techniques have they've gone off the chart with them. Back when I was doing it, man, it was like, I'd fly to Colombia and I'd, come outside the boss's house and, he'd walk us down through the woods and look over the mountainside and down in the valley, and the entire valley from side to side and all the way down through, there's nothing but pot growing. Now, there's no way you're doing that and getting it under control. That's why it was so seedy, because you're getting female and male seed and males blended. But it was still good stuff. But you could go a little bit east in Colombia toward the Santa Marta and you could go into the highlands for the Punta Roja. The Punta Roja was, to give you an idea, I'm paying anywhere from $10 to $15 a pound for the Colombian red, depending on what season I'm buying it in.
$10 to $15 a pound.
$10 a pound. Yeah. And you move to the north toward where the Punta Roja is grown. You have to go inland. Now we're talking $40 to $60 a pound because it's more potent, and it takes a little bit more time and a little bit more hands-on to produce some more potent weed. That's why the DC8s, DC9s, or DC10s, or whatever the hell they are, were flying inland to get this stuff because you could only get so much, and you had to go inland to get it. Otherwise, they'd be trucking it for miles and miles and miles to get it to the ocean.
Now, did they have like a sativa then and an indica, or it was just one?
Yeah, no, that's what the highland strains were more sativa because there's less oxygen, and they grow more of a stem before they get to the buds and the stalks and the plants on top. When you're in the lowlands and you're growing the indica, the plants are a lot fatter and bigger, and the leaves are more broad, and they grow like giant bushes.
Really?
Yeah.
So now, why? Because you're the marijuana guy, so there's nobody better to ask than you, I don't think, right? Given the amount of shit that you've hauled.
Ask away.
So the sativa is supposed to give you energy,
right?
Or
sativa is more of a cerebral high. It gets you thinking, keeps you a little bit more alert, like that.
Not me.
And the indica is more of a
for sleep, yeah,
downer crush.
Yeah.
I'm more of an indica guy because I like to do the nod.
It is good for sleep. I mean, medically, it's good
and
for
pain.
Sleep. Yeah,
and yes, and and we're hauling around medicine. Little did we know.
Yeah, and did time for it and lost a lot of money. Yeah. Now, back then, how serious were they about the marijuana? I would think personally, just from an outsider's point of view.
Right.
Although marijuana then isn't like it is now, I would think that they would be all about the cocaine at that time period, and then that the weed would be like, I mean, maybe not the amount that you were doing, but I mean, how hard were they legally on marijuana then?
They were every bit as stringent with regards to weed as they were with cocaine.
Really?
But when it came right down to it, their aggressiveness as far as trying to stop the importation of that product was equally matched, I would say. Or I'd say the cocaine was a little more concentrated on that because Miami was a death trap in those days. There was an article written out and came out in Time magazine where they pronounced that Miami was paradise lost. Right across the front of the Time magazine, Paradise Lost, because of the cocaine trade and all the, the killing and all the, the ridiculous shit that was going on, and what the local governments had the federal governments come down and intervene because it was out of their control. I mean, they couldn't handle what was taking place, particularly when the Dadeland Mall massacre took place, and an ABC Liquor. That was cocaine cowboys doing their thing, and two guys in the ABC liquor store that they didn't want around anymore, so they parked their war wagon, it was called, out in the parking lot and went in with automatic weapons, machine guns and shit, into the ABC liquor, killed everybody in the store just to get two guys. And then they come running out of the ABC liquor into the parking lot, and they're firing across the parking lot, just shooting whoever they can shoot. Now this is new to Miami-Dade police.
Machine guns, just blasting machine guns?
They got pistols, dude. They got 38s and shit, and now they got, AKs and shit, going off and like that. So they had to literally go down to, the local gun shops and re-up their stash of armaments because now there was a whole new ball game, man. Because this wasn't mob style. Because mob style keeps it pretty much in house. They clean up their own house. This was kill anybody and everybody and just make the message clear that we don't fuck around.
So it's like it was like Chicago now.
Oh yeah. I
mean, I always say my friend can't even take his kid to the subway. He's and my
South
friend's
side?
a tough motherfucker,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It was and Miami was a killing ground, and a lot of it was due to a woman named Griselda Blanco. She was the godmother of cocaine. If anybody knows, this story.
No, I just know Guzman. Or
Griselda, she was the original. She was the original cocaine cowboy, if you want to call it that. Now she was the one that got Pablo and Carlos Slater brought him out of the gangs in Medellin and taught him how to gather the coca paste. So Carlos and Pablo could be their conduit from South America to the United States. Well, Griselda and her husband wind up going to New York, and she developed the smuggling technique whereby she would use really beautiful women and models, and they would put it in the bras, put it all in their undergarment and stuff, and then just get on the plane and ride. Well, she ultimately gets popped in New York for a kilo of cocaine, and she disappears. Well, a year later, she shows back up. She surfaces in Miami under her own name.
What is she, nuts?
Hello. Well, nobody picked up on it. I mean, nobody. The government, nobody picked up on it.
Wow.
So here's Griselda Blanco running the cocaine trade into Miami. She's using Pablo as conduit. They're bringing all this cocaine in. And if you recall the movie Blow,
yeah,
there's George Young and his partner Diego. Well, Diego in the movie is actually Carlos Slater.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that DMX rap, the DMX was in that movie.
Yep. And when they go to, they talk about the island in the Bahamas, Norman's Cay. Well, that is actually Norman's Cay, and it does exist. And it was owned by Carlos Slater. And if you fly over that island today, you can still see the planes that almost made it and the planes that didn't make it off, dotting in the water around the island. When we take that and you put this cocaine cowboy mess into perspective and just how bloody and violent it was, and Griselda Blanco being the godmother, and she would kill you if you owed her money and didn't pay her, obviously she'd kill you. If she didn't like you, she'd kill you. If you got stuff from her and paid her back and she didn't like you, she'd kill you. She'd kill people like she was ordering a fucking pizza.
I mean, it was nothing.
That's how Miami got to be the killing field it got to be, and that's how Pablo Escobar learned to be the infamous killing son of a bitch he was. He learned it from her and her husband. Most people don't know the backstory to this.
Now, did you ever cross paths with her?
Never.
Did you ever see her?
Never. Nope. But as it turns out, as I'm going back and reviewing my history and writing the book and getting a good beat on the people that I was involved with. Now there's two Cuban guys that I work with in Miami. Only two guys I ever met. Only two guys I ever saw. Only wanted to see them. Don't bring me anybody else. You got somebody who wants to buy shit? Give me the money for them. You give me the money. I'll bring it to you. You deal with them. I don't want to know anybody. Little did I know that Carlos and Leo were two of Griselda's soldiers.
Oh, and those were the two that you would only meet.
Yeah, and I didn't know this at the time because we're all ignorant of this kind of thing at the time, So, and as far as that goes, there was never any concern about these guys coming over and trying to take over our territory, because if you weren't born and raised in the 10,000 Islands in Everglades, dude, you ain't running nothing. You ain't running shit.
Yeah. Because
that's our backyard. It's literally 10,000 islands, and that's where we played as kids. So when that load came offshore and it got in those islands, we owned it.
It was you kids going and grabbing that.
So when the cocaine cowboys started getting under control by the U.S. government, coming down and finally taking care of that mess, they said, okay, well, since we're here, let's take a look at what's going on over here. And those fuckers are the ones that brought the trouble down on us.
So they brought the heat to you.
Being idiots. Everybody wants to be the man in Miami.
Right.
How many guys can I name right offhand, who wanted to be? There's Willie Falcone. There's a number of race boat drivers. There's Don Arno. He got involved in building boats for smugglers and stuff like that. There's a true story. John Travolta played him in a movie. I
mean, all you got to do is put on National Geographic or the History Channel, and I'd say really, no bullshit, 7 out of 10 times, if it's coke or weed, it's coming into Miami.
Right.
More so coke, but.
Right.
So how long did the Cocaine Cowboy, that run, how long did they run for before they got control? And then, like you said, being that they were already there, then you guys become the new target.
Right. They operated from probably the mid-'70s to the early '80s.
And then that's right, kind of when you're at your peak.
And that's when
isn't that fucking nice, right?
Right. See, well, it started off, the pot hauling was coming through the Mona Pass and the Windward Passes. Those are between Dominican Republic and Jamaica, or Haiti. Typically the cocaine routes. And it originally started bringing pot back in the early days, and when the first generation of pot haulers, Dosh Brown and his group and his guys were bringing pot from Colombia, they brought it around to Miami, and we're unloading it there. Well, it started getting boats coming in with cocaine, boats coming in with marijuana, and Touch finally said, look, guys, he says, why don't we just take this operation to the other side of the state and bring it in over there where there's nobody over there.
Yeah, because there had to be so much heat there because you got coke coming in, you got weed coming in, you got God knows what else.
Right.
Was there a lot of pills running around back then?
Yeah, a lot of Quaaludes.
Oh yeah,
they were coming in by the airplane loads, man.
Yeah, I remember that real well because of
back when they were
Belfort.
the Roars, the 714s, the big ones.
I don't know, it was before my time.
Before your time.
I just remember Jordan Belfort and Wolf of Wall Street saying how fucking great they were.
Oh yeah, Ludes, yeah.
Did you used to do them?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Were they great?
Oh yeah, man. They were like, especially if you've been doing rails.
Yeah.
If you're doing lines, like,
little gagger.
We didn't do lines, man. We just, I had a.
You look like the type of guy to me that, like, if somebody would put a line out, gagger. You look like a gagger type of guy.
Now yeah.
Back then, not.
Yeah, no. I mean, now I look at it and I just get no. I get the shittiest feeling because I don't want to, that Jones, man. I can remember that without even having to do any shit. But, it all started and revolved around that, and then when I got to working with Carlito and Leo, it was every now and then they were like, dude, let's do a load of coke. This is so easy. Let's do a load of cocaine. I'm like, no, man. And little did I know, I'm telling them, like, this whole different group of people, man. I don't want to get involved in that shit for two reasons. One reason is because the violence and the people that are involved in it, and the time you get for cocaine versus the time you get for weed.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that, it was like night and day. That's why we said, we're not going to fuck with that. Plus, how the scenario goes, and we can get into this a little bit later, but I'll tell you just briefly for this point is when I do a load, if I bring in 30,000 pounds of stuff for you, and it cost $15 million, $5 million of that dollars goes to me and my crew to pay us for having done the job. Now, I'll take $5 million worth of your shit and bring it to Fort Myers or to Naples, and I'll send the rest of it to Miami to you. Now, you don't get paid. People, the common misconception about this is I give you your shit, you pay me right away. It doesn't work that way. I give you your load, 20, 30, 40 tons, whatever it is. I start getting paid out of that when they start selling it.
Oh, so you're fronting that much?
So, well, if they say, like I said, like a 30,000 pound load, just if you owe me $5 million, I'm keeping $5 million worth of your shit in Naples.
I see.
Because you lose it over there, I'm going to get fucking paid because my guys and I didn't risk our asses to not get paid. I can take that $5 million worth of shit and sell it like that.
I follow you. So you're fronting, but you're also covering your capital.
We're covering we were what the U.S. government and a lot of those people described as service providers. We never actually owned the shit. We didn't want to own this shit. Yeah. We just wanted to move it. We don't care about selling it and the hassle with all that bullshit. Just get it to point A to point B and you pay us a flat fee for that and we're done with it.
Yeah. Well, that's the way to do it if you're going to do it, right?
Yeah. So, when it came to that and they got done with the cocaine guys over there, they said, okay, let's have a look at what's going on over here because they had an idea. The U.S. government had an idea about, Everglades City and all the smuggling and this and that. But at that time, it was a lot of nobody really saw it. A load gets popped or somebody gets busted every once in a while, not very often. Because they knew there was something happening there, but they didn't know the magnitude to which it was happening. They had no clue. When they popped the can open on that bad boy, whew,
well, they knew.
Shit come down, man. They knew.
Well, if you go to the screen, you didn't even hide it.
No.
If you go to the screen, Rob, I mean, you're not even hiding it.
And
you even say that.
There's no way to hide it.
And the thing was, when you say there was no way to hide it, it's not because of the reasons you would think. It was because you had too much.
Right.
Now, that's an odd problem to have, right? You got so much fucking weed, you have nowhere to put it.
The way
you can't wrap it.
The way I look at this, and talking to Tim earlier, is he's Amazon before Amazon. Like they have a warehouse, and then you're just hitting your order on Amazon, waiting for the warehouse to come deliver it, and that's basically what
and I bring you a warehouse full of stuff.
Correct. And your logistics are there. You have all the guys, this, that. It's right. Shit, man. You're Amazon.
You're like the store locator.
This is a logistical...
Right? Store locator. Store nearby is in stock. Tim Mcbride and Saltwater Cowboys have it in stock.
This is a logistical effort that took 3 generations to perfect. You know what I mean? To really get it to run like a well-oiled machine. At first, you know, if you read Tots Brown's memoirs, it wasn't, you know, starting off was rough for him, man. I mean, it was trial and error, how to get it, how to find it, how to get it here without breakdown and all this kind of stuff. But he wound up blazing the trail and opening up that pathway. So we decided to abandon the Mona and the Windward Pass because those were the two cocaine trafficking passes that would come through the Caribbean. So we opted to go through what we call the Gap, the Yucatan Pass, which is between western Cuba and eastern Yucatan. And we'd come up through the Gap and then make a hard right over towards South Florida and right into the Everglades. And that's when the whole thing turned around. You know, so that's when the older generations were using I mean, anything they could put the shit on. I mean, they were hiring boats of all different kinds, you know, and that's how we come to the name Saltwater Cowboy. I had been working for, you know, probably about a year, maybe not quite a year, and we go offshore, typical run. Now we're doing, you know, my first time out, let me start with that. My first time out on this boat, just going out to go crab fishing, this is all I thought we were just going to crab fish.
Well, your friend comes to you and says, hey, do you want to go crab fishing? You sign up to go crab fishing.
Right.
And then you go on the boat to go crab fishing, actually thinking that's what you're going to do. And he goes, hey, look, here's the deal. This is what we're doing. And you say, okay. And then this goes on for, you know, whatever. And then one day you get a bag, right, with 10 grand in it. And you're like, shit.
Well, that was the first time out. The first time out, I woke up that morning and I knew that the scenario they had imparted to me about how this works is you wake up about, you know, dawn, just where you can see that first buoy and you start pulling traps.
That's fucking funny, man.
Well, I wake up and the sun's shining, and, you know, like I said, I lean out of the bunk and I look up there as Captain, and he's sitting in the wheelhouse chair just grinning from ear to ear at me, and he goes, Timmy, he says, you know, we're not going to go pull traps today. He says, buddy, we're going to hang out here all day and we're going to unload a boat from Columbia tonight. And
now, what are you thinking?
I went, oh, cool, okay. I didn't know. It was kind of tongue-in-cheek to them because, you know, they knew what was going on, but they wanted to surprise me, you know, kind of Shanghai me, get me out there, and then tell me what was going on. They knew I'd be cool with it.
And how old are you at this time?
I had just turned 21.
Just turned 21.
Yeah. And so I said, all right, cool, man. So, you know, we hung out there that day, and, you know, we go out and approach the boat. The first night was 15 tons.
Damn.
My first experience in unloading a boat.
That's a hell of a first experience.
Right. So we go out there, we pull up next to it, give the call signs. They tell us to come on, and we unload. We bring the shit in, and we bring it in as far as we can to the shoreline. And then once we get to the shoreline of the 10,000 islands, out come all the little boats. You know, 15, 20, 25 little T-crafts or little well boats that run through shallow waters. And they come around us and they start like flies on a garbage can, man. They just get two guys on each boat, one captain and one mate. The mate jumps on our big boat and starts throwing bales. And we just start making trips through the pass, through the islands to Chokoloskee Island, where we've got one of the houses where we've taken all our buddies' furniture out of the house and start loading the damn thing back to front, floor to ceiling, and stack it as full as we can get it. And this all has to happen between sundown and sun up. And then when sun up comes, that's when the shore crew takes over. Now, if the boat or the cars, the trucks or the vans or whatever it is we're using that next day didn't get loaded that night, because a lot of times they'd pull up, we'd load them, and they'd drive back into town and park in the driveway. Just sit there with a 2-meter radio waiting for the next day for their turn to get called out of town. And we start sending these things. Now, out on the water, we have what's called a chase boat. You've got a picture of my chase boat up here somewhere.
Yeah, if you go to go to his website, and then it's I think it's tab 4. Go to tab 4 right there. Up, or you just do it that way. Yeah, and scroll down. Yeah, because there's one picture I saw here fast. It's my. There's like 3 boats flying.
My Chris. No, I went out. No, it's my Chris Craft.
Oh. I don't know. I thought we had it up there.
I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah, I'll shoot over to Rob. Tell me a story.
But anyways, we use these Go Fast boats, these chase boats, they're called, to run alongside the load boat when they come from the mothership, and we're just chugging, man. We can barely move, 5-6 knots through the water, and we're not getting away if somebody comes, approaches us. So the captain's watching radar. We have 50-mile radius. And if anything looks like, it's a target that's going to come to us.
Is that one? Which
that one? Right there.
Right here. Okay.
If there's a target coming to us, we all jump on that thing and leave the boat and go, because, they can just have it. because the captains the guys that own the boats are never on them. People that own the vehicles that we're using are never in them. They're always somebody else's, and there's a reason for that. So when you're driving this stuff back and forth to Miami and to empty this house, we got guys and gals just making trips to Miami to Coral Gables or to Kendall and pull into a plaza off of Chrome Avenue, pull into a plaza, park the vehicle and get out, and we'd have a guy standing over there with the Cuban partners pointing out our vehicles saying, that's us, that's us, that's us. Our guys would get out, go window shop, the Cubans would get in it, go unload it, and bring it back. So we were doing what the government calls a dead drop. We were originating, that's my chase boat right there.
That's your chase boat.
That's
there.
me and a good friend of mine.
So what's all in that there?
This is wide open bow in the front.
Okay.
Center console, 500 horsepower or better on the back.
So that fucker.
And this thing will do 70 miles an hour before your ass even hit the seat. So this is riding alongside that big loaded boat.
Mm-hmm.
So if it looks like something's coming to get up to get that boat, we jump on that thing and just haul ass and leave. Let them have it.
Out.
And what the captain of the boat does, he calls in and says, "Hey, looks like we're going to get busted, man. But don't do that until we're absolutely sure they're boarding the boat." And then the owner of the boat, that's who we're calling, the owner of the boat, then calls the police or whoever and says, "Hey, I just looked outside. My shit's gone, man. It's been stolen."
Yeah.
So he reported it stolen,
So
which
it makes
means
it even look more legit.
Which means it relieves him of any responsibility that boat's been involved in, and he'll eventually get it back.
Man, you guys you want to talk about strategy? I mean, this isn't for no dummy to be doing.
No, they had it worked. We had it worked out.
And what I thought was really interesting before we came on, that this is generational.
Yes.
If you could elaborate on that, so I don't jumble it all up, but it's amazing.
Right. Yeah. No, there was 3 generations of us. The original pot hauler was Lauren Toch Brown. He's a legend in the Everglades. If you can Google that name, you'll come up with a lot of stuff. I mean, he's really highly respected, just a wonderful guy. And those old timers back in those days didn't even smoke this shit.
What was his name, Tim?
Lauren Toch Brown.
Okay, we're gonna Google.
Toch is his nickname.
Yeah.
And
why they call him Toch?
I don't know how he got that.
Just out of curiosity. Yeah, I don't know why a lot of my friends are called names like you have like Fat Tim, and then you see Fat Tim, and Fat Tim isn't Fat Tim. Fat Tim isn't fat. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But okay, maybe he was. Maybe he went on to die.
Right. Well, he and his crew, got involved, and then
is that him?
Yeah, there's Mr. Toch. Yes, sir.
So Toch, if you're listening,
he's the legend.
That's the legend, and that is Toch Brown.
And unfortunately, he passed away in 96.
Sorry.
Just a sweetheart of a guy.
Sorry.
And a lot of the family, a lot of the Browns, and a lot of Hamilton families, original families of the island, are still there.
Yeah.
And
best wishes.
I just love this old man. He was just the greatest guy to just sit and talk with.
So I could see it in your like body language.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And that's one of the.
He's like the goat.
Yeah.
Like you would say nowadays, he's the goat.
Yeah, he would be the goat. Yeah. And eventually there came a group of brothers. There were 6 originally. One of the brothers passed away in early 80s. So there were 5 brothers, the Daniels brothers. And the youngest of the brothers befriended Toch, and Toch, kind of got him in the fold, hauling pot and stuff. And his brothers didn't want anything to do with it. They almost disowned him because of it. And he's showing up with, suitcases full of money and stuff like this, trying to get his brothers to say, at least, hey, take some money and get your kids bicycles or something.
Just do something, right?
Well, it didn't take long before eventually they start to relent and the brothers come on board. So now they're the second generation. They're taking over from Toch and his crew, and they take it up a step. They get a little bit better boats, they get a little bit better organized and this kind of stuff like that. So they begin to have kids. Their kids grow up. They grow up. They're my friends. This is the 3rd generation. So now that these fathers and uncles and older cousins and stuff have younger kids to do the work, we're doing the work. We're humping these bales. We're the ones out there offshore or inshore or moving this stuff around from house to house. 600, 700 to 800 to 1,000 bales, and we're moving them 2-3 times a night. You think the adults are doing this shit?
Hell no.
Fuck no, man.
They already put their time.
That's
in,
what we got
right?
you guys for. Yeah, they did their shit. They did their time. So consequently, the loads are getting bigger because the understanding of how it works is getting a little bit more comfortable with and that sort of thing. And then ultimately, the first Operation Everglades comes to bear. in 1983. And this is when they first started opening up the can that they had no clue what was inside of it. They showed up, and
When you say can, so that people who are listening or watching, they understand, we're not talking about a soup can.
no. No, we're opening up
This is a rather large can.
a genie's bottle. You just rubbed the lamp, brother. I don't think you wanted to do that.
How much was in the can?
Oh, God.
On average?
On average, 25 tons.
God.
Now that 15,000, that 30,000 pounds I did that first job I never did one that little after that.
that was the mini.
That was the little one, and the very second day I worked on that boat, we hauled that second night, and that next night was 22 tons.
Jeez.
But I got paid rookie pay because that was my 2 rookie jobs. I got paid $5,000 a night, and I thought, wow, this is freaking this is awesome, dude.
And again, I keep saying this just so people can put it in reality. This is the 80s.
This is the 80s.
That's 31 years ago.
Yeah.
Roughly or more.
Right.
Depending.
And like I said, that's when 12, 15,000, 17,000 was a damn good living.
Yeah.
It was a damn good salary for a year, and we're making 10 times that.
Yeah.
In one night. Which is insane. So those first 2 nights, and then now that the captain understood he had a crew that was ready to work, willing to work, now I'm getting paid by the size of the loads. So now I'm not getting rookie pay anymore. So if we do a 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 pound job, I'm getting paid $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a night. And like I said, we don't get paid right away. So in a week or two, then the bags get slid across the kitchen table at me. And now that he understood we were working, now we're working 2-3 nights a week. And, now we're getting upwards to, 25, 30 tons, 35 tons, unloading a night.
Now, when it's starting to grow like this, are you starting to get worried at all? Or it's just the adrenaline and the fun and the money is just, who cares?
It never crossed my mind that way, and I think that reason was because the adults were in control. If they weren't worried about it, why should us kids be worried about it?
Right, because you're almost like looking up to them in a way,
Yeah.
right? So you're
They
thinking,
got this.
They got it under control.
We're learning. They're the ones that have been doing this, and if they say run, we run. If they don't run, we stick around, that kind of thing. If there's a reason to be scared, they'll let us know. But it was never like that. I was never, approaching a boat or getting on to go do a job. It was never, it was never like that. It was always like, let's go, man. I mean,
well, you probably would have got pinched a lot sooner if you would have been.
Yeah,
because the nerves are when you get nailed.
we started getting stupid,
Yeah.
and careless, and
Well, yeah, I think you overthink.
you do.
You either the money kills you, somebody else rats on you and gets you, or you start overthinking,
Right.
and then you slip, or whatever.
It was more comfortable. It was a lot more comfortable than you might have expected. Because, you're working with your buddies and your pals and everybody. And it was like a team effort.
And it's like
remember,
it's like you're working with all your buddies from home.
Yeah.
like in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
So you're not worried about anything. Like you got my back, I got your back. The whole nine.
Right.
Now the first time you do this, reverting back just a little bit, you're 21.
Mm-hmm.
Now prior to that, where do you think your life's headed prior to that day when you go crab fishing and he says, look, pal, this isn't what you think?
I had no idea. I figured, I came down. I didn't have a job on the boat right away. I had a job building. The guy I came down with, his brother-in-law ran the fish house on the island, Ernest Hamilton Stone Crabs, the only fish house on the island. So his sister married to this guy. When he came down, there wasn't any of that, who are these guys, because, they're giving crossways looks to everybody that comes into town because nobody trusts anybody unless you've been there. But we fell into the fold, and I get this a lot from, people that hear these stories about, how does a guy just from, out of town just breeze in there and all of a sudden he's hauling pot? Well, it didn't exactly happen like that. It happened where these people finally understood that, well, that's his brother-in-law. That's his brother. That's Nancy's brother. They're all family, so we know where they came from. We know everything there is to know about them. They're not cops. They're not from, the government or anything like that. So they kind of relaxed and just eased right in and became part of the family. And I helped build his brother-in-law's home. And during that period, they were finishing up the next season, the last season of stone crabbing, and there was a kid from Michigan on the boat. There's a captain, there's a first mate, and a second mate. There's only 3 people on the crab boat. And yeah, crab boat's up there somewhere. There's a Disney character of it right there.
You know what? I didn't even catch it when I was looking. I was too busy looking at all this shit.
That's a funny story too, right there. But they did really.
It sounds like when you were able to walk in there, because I understand, because they're checking you out.
Oh yeah.
So it's not. So whoever thinks that they're not checking you out is just a moron. And then they're realizing you're part of the family. Oh, you're part of this family, this family.
Yeah.
So now they know
you're
that
Thorne and Nancy's brother-in-laws. Yeah.
Right.
You're
so
from the same.
Now they know that they can trust you.
They can trust
and
us.
your blood now.
Right.
You're like that's how I would look at it. Like your blood now. Okay. Come on.
We're new to the industry, and we're eager to work.
And that's
what they wanted.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Right.
Because now stone crabbing in and of itself is kick-ass work, man. I mean, it'll make a man out of you. If you're not ready for it, it'll bust your ass in two. Well, this guy from Michigan was on the boat, and Captain Billy at the time, he didn't really dig this kid. Because my buddy Mark was working with him, because that's who he came down here with. And they said, we're going to work this motherfucker and make him quit. Well, it only took about a week.
And he was done.
He was done for. They burned this kid out, man.
So basically, Tim, at 21, your life's kind of headed to working on a boat with fishing.
On a boat, stone crabbing, and doing the fishing thing.
Like the whole 20, 30 tons of weed wasn't even a thought.
No. Because at that time, it was still just ghost stories. You know,
yeah.
You never, until you actually see it for yourself. That's all it is. It's just, tales about what people talk about and stuff like that. And even at that point in time, I couldn't imagine the significance of what it was I was getting involved in. But
and then I would imagine that when you do get involved in it, as heavy as you did, you don't even realize how
that's just how it was.
Yeah, like this is the life.
All we knew as kids were 50, 60,000 pound loads. That was commonplace for us. It was just like, okay, another one.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate the awe, the shock and awe when people hear this. But this is what throws a lot of people off of the sheer volumes. They're like, yeah, right. But well, you know what? All I can say is, look it up and check it. Check out the history of this, because this is the absolute truth, man.
No, it's everywhere.
I mean,
if you just type in Mcbride marijuana. I mean, Google, they shake it down.
Like I showed you.
Yeah.
Google Daniels Brothers / Everglades, and the first article that comes up talks about, all their seizures and all they got involved with and all the holdings they had in Netherlands Antilles Holding Company in the Caribbean with property and cash and this and that. Property throughout the United States, airplanes, cars, buses, rental units, timeshares, and they also seized 580,000 pounds of Colombian weed.
I know. I saw.
And I keep saying, I know who has 500,000 pounds laying around. Well, we do. And that's just the way it was, So people hear this kind of stuff, and then right away they're like, I've lost them, But then the story goes on, and and we talk about how how it's done, and the mechanics of it. And particularly with the generation that I learned from, my buddies and their fathers and uncles and cousins and things like that. There was such a family-oriented theme behind it that even when it came down to, say, corporal punishment or something like that, if you fucked up really bad, it wasn't ever nobody ever got their ass whipped, nobody ever got scolded, nothing like that. It was like, okay, bro, you don't work for 3 jobs. Well, you just lost $150,000-$200,000, dude. You got your ass spanked.
Right. You almost rather be shot like in the leg or something, or a nice beating, right?
Right. And the thing about it is that here's a town of, at that time, was just under 600 people, and half or better of the town was involved. And when you're running loads, and there's a chapter in my book right here, Saltwater Cowboy: The Rise and Fall of a Marijuana Empire, where I had written a scenario in where we had worked 28 nights in a row. Some of the guys, when they heard me that I was writing that, said it was more. But I just left it at 28 nights in a row. And I did a rough calculation, according to the amount and the size of the loads we were doing. In those 28 nights, to the tune of about 1.6 million pounds in 1 month. And during that time,
back to back, right? They were back to back, because it was the harvest season.
There was at one point in time every house that you could put pot on Chokoloskee Island had pot stuffed in it.
Now, why is fall harvest season? I know that sounds like a dumb question for a guy like you, but for me,
coming out of summertime into the fall, that's the biggest harvest in South America.
Okay,
that's the largest harvest.
Prime time.
That's prime harvesting. They have 2 seasons. They have 2 harvests.
So you have a chub until then, and then you get the boner.
Yeah.
I mean, I would. Would that be accurate? Tim?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll just play with it.
No, but yeah. So when the take is that abundant, and there's so much to be gotten. I mean, they're raking mountainsides of this shit out of Colombia, dude. And the guy that I was working with, I call him the boss. He wound up being cousins of the Ochoa brothers, who ran the Cali cartel.
Don't want no problem.
His territory basically covered from Cartagena to Santa Marta, including the Barranquilla Peninsula and Barranquilla City. So all the growers that grew in that northern section of Colombia were basically growing for him and his people. If somebody wanted, like I said, they wanted 40,000, if there's 60,000 pounds, 30,000 pounds, it only costs $300,000. And, the reason why, and people ask me about, weren't you scared of going down there? Weren't you afraid of the guns and this and that, and the violence and that? And I said, well, you know what? Honestly and truthfully, at that level, there is no violence. And there's a very good reason for that. And one of the reasons is that I can take some cocaine cowboy in Miami's bar money, $300,000, which is nothing. And I can fly to Colombia and I can buy you 30,000 pounds of weed. And by the time it gets back into United States waters, it's worth $500 a pound. I only paid $10. So I've turned $300,000 into $15 million in 8 to 14 days, and that's typically the voyage from South America to South Florida, barring any weather patterns or unforeseen, circumstances involving that.
Now, did you ever run into extreme weather that really shook you?
A couple times. Yeah.
Was it bad?
Bad to the point of I almost thinking we're going to sink this fucker.
Did he really?
Yeah. But I only made the trip to Colombia on the Motherships several times, just because I wanted to do it.
Yeah, and you said how much can a mothership hold? They're what, 250 foot, right?
Yeah. As a kid, I've boarded boats, and that was our job going off as the unloading the motherships was to get off, and you didn't just pull up to the boat and the shit starts raining down on you. A lot of times we had to pull up to the ship, get up on board, go down below in the hold and help the crew put some up on deck. Now these holes are so big. I've seen boats with as much as 300,000-400,000 pounds on them in bales. And these deep midship holds where we have to stack them up, bales up like a pyramid, and guys up standing on top and bucket brigaded up to the guy on top of the pyramid, and he can lift it where the guys on the deck can reach it. Pull them out and throw them up on deck. Now, we're taking turns in the hole back and forth because, you got 400,000 pounds of shit down there that's going off like mulch does, and it gets hot, and the engines are running. Those engines run 24/7. So you're getting sticky and you're hot and there's dust and and you're sweating, so you take turns and you get the shit up on deck. Then we jump down to our boat. That's when they start throwing the shit off to us.
And we're talking pounds at a clip.
Jesus, we're talking about 70-pound, 80-pound bales. Some of them are 100 pounds. In the early days.
You were a strong dude back then.
Yeah,
I mean you still look strong now.
Make a man out of you,
Yeah. Now, how long does it take to unload a mothership?
Oh God,
all that
it can take, depending on the size of the amount of the load that we're getting. When we're typically 40,000 pounds. It might take a couple 3 hours to get it up on deck.
Like nonstop hard work,
just puking. Hot. You can't stop because once you get going, you got to go because you've only got from sundown to sun up. So we would sit.
No wonder you're doing gaggers.
So we would sit, before the jobs, before sundown, we would sit just off the horizon, and that's how as far as you can see with the naked eye, a boat on the water. Now we would sit off to the horizon out of sight till about 3 hours before sundown. Then we'd make the call because every different job had a call sign for the boat, so they know boat coming to them is the one that's supposed to be coming to them, So we'll call them and say, yeah, whatever, and yeah, come on. So we could get to them and start loading a couple, 3 hours before sundown and still get a good head start on the night. So we're probably, half loaded or a quarter loaded on our boat by the time the sun starts to go down. So we've got from that time to get it off our boat, get it into the house, shut the house, and now the sun's going to come up. So this is a big trick.
You got pressure on it.
It's a big trick to try to do that. And, that's the first half of the scenario. And then the boats get it from us, take it through, we put it in the house. And like I said, if they don't get loaded at night, they get loaded the next day, and we send them to Miami. Now, out on the water, we have the chase boat running next to us. Now, the drivers that are driving from Miami back and forth from Kendall parking lot in Kendall to Everglades back and forth, they do this as many times as they can during the day while there's still time to unload that house, because chances are we're going to fill the fucker again that night. So this is when everybody and the gals and all the rest of the town gets involved. And they have 2-meter radios, which at that time are virtually unscannable. We have 5 different combinations of numbers we can use, and everybody's got one. We have like 200 of these fucking things. Now, as these people, and I always thought the guys on the road had balls, man, because I had a chase boat I could get onto, and there's only 3 of us.
You had an out.
Right. And that position in the hierarchy of everything, of the whole thing, going off to unloading from the mothership was the highest paying job, because what it amounts to is 3 guys, the captain and the 2 crewmate, have control of the entire load. We're responsible for about 4, 5, 6 hours, that entire load. So we're getting paid big money.
And you don't have as many people to kick to.
No. And the money goes down from that point. It gets the boats that come out to get it from us get paid $30,000 a piece. They pay their guy on boat out of that. The drivers come. The drivers get $30,000 a piece. They pay their driver out of that, and then as these guys are driving, their opportunity of escape or window of escape are spotters. We'd have anywhere from 8 to 10 people hired, $10,000 a day, just to drive to that plaza and back in staggered formation. So there's always somebody on the road with you. You're never alone.
You're always protected.
You're never alone. We know where every cop is, every sheriff, every highway patrol, every marine patrol, every national park ranger who's out there, because one of the Everglades National Park Rangers was on my crew. So we knew where everybody
I was just going to ask you, was there a lot of payoffs going on with law enforcement?
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because at that time, Christ, you offer a guy 10 times his annual salary to go over here and sleep for 2 hours, what the fuck you think he's going to do?
Yeah, right.
He's going to go over there and take a nap, plus one of the guys on the crew's father was a sheriff deputy in town.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
When he was working, man, it was like the back door was open.
It was like wide open.
Some people that I was involved with that I can't name, that I won't, out of respect for them.
Good.
Because they were never implicated, and I don't want to be implicating anybody that wasn't. But some higher up, some authority in town, protected some of us, in what it was we were doing. Not all the time, we were running a great risk all the time, and there was a lot of joviality going on and a lot of, laughing and this and that. But when it came time to do the job, it was serious shit, man. Our asses were on the line. So,
but then again, Tim, you guys weren't violent.
No.
And that's a big thing, because, I know from, my past and talking to a lot of people, when you bring the violence in, that's when it's tough to make a payoff, or whatever, or you get into like the harder drugs. Because now you're talking a different ball game. But when you're talking about marijuana, yeah, it's illegal, really illegal then. But nobody's overdosing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right.
I would think as a cop, that's not really. If I'm making $10,000 and you're going to give me 50 to look the other way for a night.
Right.
Well,
that's why too, Tommy, in the earlier days when. When we were doing our thing, the sentences for somebody that got popped in a van load of shit, or if they happen to get caught on a boatload of the stuff, chances are they're going to get, 14 months, depending on whether it's their first or second charge. And there were a lot of things were taken into consideration. They think this guy's got a family, he's got a wife and kids, and they've been in trouble, blah, blah, blah. They can use all this stuff to come to a reasonable sentence.
Well, that nice heart feeling went away, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and I can tell you how that happened too.
that heartfelt situation is way long gone.
So what they realized was that the sentences they were handing out weren't doing them any good.
Oh,
Because when you take the guys like the 5 Daniels brothers that I mentioned to you and all that stuff, all that seizures and all that stuff that I named to you, they're standing in front of the magistrate. No shit. And I'm reading transcripts and I'm listening to Craig tell me the story and making notes as I'm writing my book. Now, he says him and his 4 brothers are standing in front of the magistrate, and the magistrate's flipping through pages, and he's doing this and doing that. And he takes his glasses off, and he looks down at all 5 of these guys, and he says, gentlemen, he says, you know what? I have absolutely no idea how to sentence people like you. He says, in all my years as a federal magistrate, I have never come across anybody quite like you people. He said, there are no guidelines for people like you. So he goes, Craig, the youngest brother, he'd been busted before. And the judge reminded him of me. He said, oh, you remember, Mr. Daniels, this is your second time around now. He said, yes, sir, I do. So he's flipping through his shit again, and he says, okay, you, and you, his 4 brothers, 36 months.
Oh.
They only got popped with 580,000 pounds of shit, millions of dollars of stuff, and property everywhere, and and this and that. So they said, okay, and he looks over at Craig, and he goes, he reminded him one more time. He says, okay, he said, no, keep in mind, this is your second time. He says, he's looking through the pages, and he actually looks over at Craig, and he goes, does 5 years sound like a long time to you? He's asking him.
Yeah.
And Craig goes, oh, hell yeah, that sounds like a long time. He just goes, 5 years.
Now, what is Craig thinking he's going to get when he's walking in there?
Oh, who knows? Their ass has gone down the river, man. I mean, who knew?
So he doesn't know.
They were hanging onto the rails. They figured they're going to go for a while.
So when he hears 5, yes.
He hears 36 months to the brothers. He's thinking, right away, he's like, oh, wow. Because he knows what's coming for him. It can't be much more than that.
Yeah.
So. But he gets 5 years, which out of the 5, I think he does 2 or 3 or some shit like that. Because at that time, they were giving out statutory and gain time and that kind of thing.
And the feds had probation then, right?
They had probation and parole.
Not probation, parole, where you go up and you see a parole board and then you can get out.
Exactly.
What was it, 60 or 50 or half of the time?
What's that?
Back then when the feds had parole.
Oh, you did maybe a quarter.
A quarter of your time.
Quarter of your time.
Wow.
Depending on the how full the system was, and it's computerized. The computer kicks out your gain time, and they give you your out date the minute you walk through the door of the prison.
Yeah.
You have your out date. You know when you're getting out. But what you don't have calculated within that is your gain time that you earn while you're there. Nothing the first year. 3 days every month for every month after the first year. Now you're in statutory time. So that then adds up. And that then takes your sentence from original out date down to your true out date. Well, these guys were getting these amounts of times, and then, here comes the Operations Everglades. When they come down Operation Everglades the first time, they said, okay, we're ending this shit. Well, what they didn't know was that the older generations knew a week before they were coming that they were coming. So when they got there was nobody around.
Really? Everybody got out?
Everybody was gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a few people they got, but it wasn't the success that they had hoped it to be. So
now, at that time, Tim, is marijuana Schedule 1?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
And he's only given 36 months for that shit?
That's all the guidelines provided for.
On a Schedule 1?
On a Schedule 1.
Holy hell.
Yeah, and that's all it provided under the old law at that time.
Wow.
So now they're seeing, that these sentences aren't doing anything to abate the problem that they're trying to, get rid of. So almost a year to the day, they come back to Everglades and Operation Everglades number 2. And there's only one road in and one road out of Everglades.
And that's the one right there.
There's the one guy they got with a shotgun standing in the middle of the road. One guy.
Yeah. And
they've got 280 plus federal agents from every branch of law enforcement under the United States Treasury down there. And in the second time, there were more reporters on the island, running around like Keystone Cops. Was described in this article right here.
Yeah, show
as
that article.
Keystone Cops, and they said that there were more people being reporters than the people being arrested, and it looked like a clown show.
Yeah, open that page up because this is if you're listening, it's Life magazine. You put it over here and look into that one.
This is Life magazine. Centerfold article says trouble in Everglades City. And the subtitle just underneath of it, right here.
A South Florida town teared with drug smuggling, and many of its 600 citizens say, so what?
So now, if you can get a good look at that picture, now that's an overview of the 10,000, just a section of the 10,000 islands. And this is the labyrinth in which we worked.
How do you not get lost in there?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I was just, I was thinking that. Like,
we will lose your ass for sure.
Yeah.
And that load is ours.
Because you knew that like the back of your hand.
Oh, yeah. As kids, that's where we play.
And
that was our playground.
Dark?
Yeah.
In the dark.
Yeah, they ain't getting you.
They're not coming in there. And if they do, we're going to lose you, and we're going to let you sit. And you can stand, and they'd be over there running around trying to figure out where they're at while we're moving shit in.
No. What's that, Rob?
Sorry, you ever get any alligator attacks while in there, or anybody get bit?
I never thought about that.
No. Out there, it's more saltwater
okay.
and brackish and that. So gators and the crocs don't get out that far. Every occasionally they will come out there. Every now and then you'll see one on the beach in Naples or whatever, but that's very rare. But we never worried about any of that stuff. What we mostly worried about was, could we get it to the house? Was there any unsuspected traffic on the island that we weren't anticipating that looked kind of funky? And if that were the case, then we would have to stack it in the woods. Now, in the early days, the guys that we grew up learning from created what they call $1 million pad to put the weed on. And all that amounted to was looking around, and we knew all the spots, so the high ground in that, or the relatively high ground that we could find out there in those islands. And if we couldn't get it onto the island that night because of suspected traffic on the island, like cops going on and off, or cars going on and off the island that we didn't really recognize like that, so we would hold the stuff in the woods that night and stack it all in a big giant pyramid. Come back the next night when everything's clear, take it all except for what's laying on the bottom that maybe got wet when the tide come up. There may have been, I don't know how many bales down there. That was the $1 million pad.
Yeah.
Those bales we just left them there because they're no good. And we'd bring the rest of the load in. So we're going to lose some of those, but it had to happen that way.
And you did double the work.
And we
right?
double the work. We're moving it two nights in a row.
Died, man.
So our take on it as kids when we took over was we're not wasting the shit. We're not building $1 million pads. Now, I brought a load in one night, and the traffic was bad on the island, and we decided to go a couple miles down from the pass and put it up into the woods. Well, we wound up taking and breaking down dead trees and branches and stuff and building pads to set this stuff on. We made 6 different pads and bucket brigaded the bales from all these little boats in there and set them on the pads. And I paid a guy 15 grand to stay out there all night with it to make sure nobody come back for it. And then we'd come back the next night and get him. And we'd unload this stuff. Well, we came back that next night to get it, and there was still some traffic on the island, so we decided to take it up a place called Turner River. And Turner River takes us up through and almost turns into a creek up to 41, and we're 4 miles outside of Everglades. We're on 41 now, and all we had to do is back 2 box trucks down to the edge of the river off the side of the road where the bridge was, and we used pit pans. Now, pit pans are a small kind of a John boat style of a vessel, wide, really shallow bottom that you could cane pole through shallow water or put a little engine on it. And we're put like 20 of these things just stacked full of weed. And we had to bring it past an island called Rabbit Key. Well, the only way to get past Rabbit Key was you had to come out to the outer islands because Rabbit Key was an outer island and go past the island and cut back in. Well, when we got to Rabbit Key, there was a party going on the island, some campers and people up there having a party and a big bonfire and shit. Well, they could not see us in the darkness because of the blinding light from the campfire. And the wind was blowing onshore, thank God, because if it was blowing offshore, they would have smelled this shit. Because, I mean, it's not like you got a dime bag in your pocket, man.
And it's not like you're vacuum sealing.
There's 42,000 pounds of shit on boats going right past this island where these people are camping.
Having a bonfire. And little do they know that little boat that just sit by them is
they have no
loaded.
clue, man. So, I mean, it was great. It was like, we were masters of hide in plain sight, that kind of thing. So we managed to get it up the river and get it to the trucks, and we start loading into the trucks. And I've got spotters up and down 41 everywhere. So I know if there's a car coming, give him about 10 minutes, he's on his way. Whew, the car would pass. Then we go back to work. Well, this car pulls up on the bridge out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he pulls up and stops. And we're maybe 50 feet from the bridge, and we're clunking and banging bales in the thing, and all of a sudden stop. Guy opens the door, and when the inside light goes on, we see his girlfriend sitting in the passenger seat. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is this guy doing, man? Walks over, pulls out his junk, and he starts pissing over the side of the bridge.
Oh.
And if he went, like this, he could see us because we're right there, man. And he's just about pissing on our heads, So we're all like holding our breath, trying to be as quiet as we can. And he gets back in the car and takes off, and we're like, where the fuck did he come from? And he must have been visiting somebody close by, and then left late or whatever because we didn't see him. He just came out of nowhere. So we managed to get everything in the truck, and off to Miami it went, dude. And
think of these unloads and give me a story that was a real close call, that you made it, that you got away with it, but that was real close, where you were really grabbing your balls like, oh shit, this is it.
I think that might have been where I had done a job for, and I didn't know this at the time, but I was given a job for 60,000 pounds, and at that time, it was always taboo to approach a boat twice. Don't go out one night and go out the next night. In the later days, in the earlier days, it was okay to do that because there wasn't as much radar and as much,
There wasn't the type of heat.
Exactly, and they weren't looking for you, day in and day out. So I said, he said 60,000 pounds. I said, okay, well, I have to approach the boat. We'll have to do it 2 loads. We'll come out two times, one night, and we'll come out the next night. And I said, give me show me what the boat looks like. Give me a drawing, give me a schematic, give me something, visual so I can show you how to load this boat. Because if we're coming out 2 nights in a row, you're not going to want to leave your shit just laying out there. So what happens is...
now, is your instinct telling you at this time, don't do this? Because at this point, 2 nights in a row isn't the greatest idea.
Well, kind of in the back of my mind, but we had done this before. And it's just a matter of moving the boat to another location, while it's out there. It can go back out into the shipping lane, or it can go back out into we had a division between the crabbers, where the crabbers from the shore out to about 20 miles were the stone crabbing traps. From that point on back out were the shrimpers, because the shrimpers drag their nets. They'll take up your whole line of traps, man. They'll wind them up into a ball, and you'll never get them undone. So we had a kind of agreement. Shrimpers stay out here, crabbers stay in here.
He's making business deals with the fucking shrimpers.
Yeah. So if you were look on the radar in those days, you would see from shore out to about 15, 20 miles, there's nothing, and then all of a sudden you see these dots of shrimp boats. Well, our guy just goes back out there and sits among all the shrimp boats, and then he can, make his way around like that. So he's not really suspect. He's not sticking out like a sore fucking thumb. So it was cool. So I told him, look, here's what we do. And I noticed that this boat had a maintenance compartment up in front of the forecastle, which is the very bow of the ship, and it had an entrance to the maintenance bilge through a watertight closet. So I opened up this. You open up the closet door, you crank it like this. And you've ever seen the movies in the watertight doors, you open like this, and then you step over the threshold.
And they're heavy as hell, right?
You pull the door shut, and then on the floor was a sealed hatch that went to the bilge. Now, anything that allows you access to the bilge has to be watertight doors. So we undid this hatch and lift the hatch up, and I told them, we'll put 30,000 pounds of this stuff. We'll put half the load in the main ship's hold. That's the stuff I'll get the first night. You just get it out and get it ready, and we'll take it right away. What you do with the second 30,000 pounds, because if it happens that we can't come out that next night for some whatever reason, and you're going to have to cruise around out there a little bit, don't pack your bales any bigger than will fit down that hatch. So we put the second 30,000 pounds in the bilge, underneath the next to the forecastle. And when you close that hatch, because the threshold that you stepped over to get into the room was about 18 inches tall, the hatch only stuck 4 inches above the floor. And the room wasn't any bigger than maybe 2 of these tables side by side.
It's not a lot of room.
So I said, fill that room with concrete and cover that hatch up by about a ½ inch of concrete, and then throw all your buckets and your brooms and your rags and your shit back in there and shut the door. Nobody will ever suspect that there's anything in there, right? We'll get the first load out, and when we tell you we're headed back out, whether it's tomorrow night or the night after or whatever takes place, you just jackhammer that hatch open and start pulling that shit out, and we'll get the second half for you. Well, we're on our way back inshore, about 2 hours on our way back in on shore in that first half, that first 30,000, and I hear this captain's, freaking out, and he's like, in his half-assed English, dude, you got to come back, send your chase boat back to get us off here. He said a military plane just flew over the boat. It was probably Marine Patrol or Coast Guard or some shit like that, and it freaked him out. And I said, sorry, brother. I said, that's my chase boat. I paid for that fucking thing for us, and then how do I know they don't know we're out here, So I give up my own escape for you. This is the game we play, brother. Sorry, man. So we get the load in. We get into the house the next day. We're sending it, doing it to Miami. We're doing our thing, and we hear that the boat's been seized. Well, what these captains are trained to do is, like I said earlier, they're not owners of the boats, but it's a Panamanian registered vessel. So he calls back to Panama on a single sideband radio and says, hey, jigs up, whatever like this. Well, they call the Panamanian Maritime Authority and say that this vessel such and such has been hijacked at sea or has been stolen. We have no clue where it is. So they'll take the boat and the crew, towed it into Tampa, had the boat there for 4 months. But because of all the debris and residue from the first 30,000 pounds that was in there, they didn't know the other shit was still in there.
What?
So they put the captain and the crew through the paces and, indicting and all this kind of stuff. Well, because of the Panamanian registry, they only needed the boat for evidence for so long, they deported it back to Panama.
And they have no idea.
Noriega put another crew on it and sent it back.
Holy shit. That's insane.
But that was the time when I get before the boat had come back, I get a knock on the door, and there's George, this guy I know from Miami. He said, dude, what happened? What the fuck happened? He says, the general's not very happy. I said, General who? He says, fucking El Presidente. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? He says, Noriega. That's his shit. And my knees went.
It's kind of like,
what the shit, So then the scenario goes through. They send the boat back. He sends it back to me. I unload it, and it all goes through, and everything was cool, And about 3 weeks later, George shows up again at my house with a handwritten note from Noriega. He says, thank you, my friend. He says, but how in the fuck did you manage to do that? and I'm thinking to myself, God, if I'd have only kept a hold of that note.
Oh, man. You know how much you could get for that?
God almighty. But that's, the only time I ever got really like, was when they told me whose it was, and that I had lost his 30,000 pounds, because,
So you were never really worried about law enforcement because you're looking at 5 years worst case. It, you're making millions. You're worried about, whoa, this is Noriega now.
This is Noriega, and he's not a nice guy.
Right.
He's the guy that stole, I don't know if you remember in the movie Blow.
Yeah.
When George and Diego take their money, their $30 million each to Panama. And then when he sees Norman's Cay's up and running, he decides to get out of the business. George goes back to Panama, and the guy says, well, you probably should have called because, the government of Panama has appropriated your funds. He took all his fucking money.
Yeah.
And 6 years prior to that, my boss, the guy in Colombia that I'm working with, or when I did this job for Noriega, he says to me, Timmy, he says, we're friends, I love you like a brother, he says, but, trust me, whatever you do, don't ever put your money in that man's banks. Don't ever give him your money because he'll take it. A few years later, he takes George's and
he took it to the cleaners.
and Carlos's money. Yeah.
So back then, how big is Noriega? You, oddly enough, you worked basically with him.
He was a real piece of shit. A real piece of work. He was just a crook, a criminal. I mean, a guy that was trying to rape Panama of whatever wealth that he could take from it. He didn't care about anything other than himself. He was a huge narcissist.
They act like he's so great.
Well, yeah, but
why? Because he moved weight in.
Well, he was,
I guess he was a force to be reckoned with.
He was a force to be reckoned with by way of he had the banks that could launder your money, that could handle your money. And he was a stopover point.
Yeah.
And he was a go-between, and he would help, secure loads from time to time, and that sort of thing. But you can never trust the guy. I mean, he was a murderer. He was just a son of a bitch. And I didn't, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know who these people were because Carlos and Leo are just, Carlito and Leo just bringing me the money. I don't care. But until they came and told me whose ship got lost, That's when I went, whoa, shit.
And now you probably start realizing who you're kind of dealing with, or no?
No, I was just, I did 2 other jobs beyond that for him. I probably made him close to $100 million. He was all about the money.
Now, do you think if you would have lost one of his jobs, you would have been a dead man?
No, because I tell you what, we have another scenario built into the job that kind of covers our ass for that. And that is simply
This
if
is
I'm
some serious logistics here.
Yeah, if I'm going to Colombia to get 50,000 pounds of shit for you that you've paid for, you got a guy on that boat that's going down there with it. I've got a guy on that boat that's going down there to get it. When the boat's loaded, my guy counts them, your guy counts them as they come on board. And the 2 counts match, we're good. We take that trip across the Caribbean. If something happens, that guy and my guy get busted, they go with the boat. They both know exactly what happened. There's no secret. If that boat makes it all the way to where we're unloading, my guy counts unloaded, he counts unloaded to make sure all the bales are right. And when the numbers match, they're good. When it gets to Miami, the count's done again. There's a safety valve involved in there, so
there's no opportunity really for
we're not
anybody
stealing
to
from you. We're not trying to pull some subterfuge on you. We're not telling you that it got busted when it didn't, because your fucking guy went
going on
your fucking guy went with it. So
Yeah.
you tell me whether what the truth was. So that was always another barrier, for our protection.
So with Noriega, in a sense, you needed him as well too for protection at times.
Yeah.
So as much as you hated the motherfucker, you
Right.
needed him.
Well, there were a lot of times when the Honduras government or the government of Belize, or at that time was the wasn't Honduras. It was something like, I don't remember what it was, but even the Mexican Army or the Mexican Navy would protect us. You just pay them.
The Navy did?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
If there was any kind of weather going on where we couldn't cross the Gulf or come through completely through the Gap, we'd tuck into Belize or someplace like that and hang out for a few days and let the weather pass. And a lot of times, I don't know, back in the early days when boats would get stopped or whatever like that, they'd find drugs and cash.
And that was a good day.
Well, the cash was on
Yeah.
there because we were using it to pay if we needed to pay.
Yeah.
And if we didn't need to pay it, it would come right to shore with us, and give it, and we'd take it back.
So you had backup on top of backup on top of backup on top of backup.
Yeah.
And what is so funny about your story is when they did come and they do the other raid, 80% of the Everglades town's gone. Everglades city's gone. 80%.
Everybody's gone. Well, the second time they
And you
came,
were in that one, right?
No. I was a kid still. I was in the background.
Oh, I thought you were in the second one.
They didn't know. They didn't know the scope of what it was they had gotten involved. They didn't know the kids were doing all the work. They had no idea.
Okay, so
I mean, would you imagine going into town and seeing kids, going by like that they were the pot haulers? Hell no. They're looking for the visible guys, the older generations, the guys that they've been watching, whatever.
Yeah.
And when they came the second time, again, they knew weeks before they were coming. And this time the grown-ups just decided
Fuck it, let's get it over
sit out
with.
on the porch and smoke a cigarette and watch the show,
Yeah,
and here they come.
Because
and
they're just going to come back again,
they're
right?
going to keep coming. So here they come. And it was relatively successful, Operation Everglades 2. And that's when they took the rest of the adults and all the other guys that were in higher positions and all the brothers and Dan's brothers that were doing and working all us kids. So it wasn't until in a very fortuitous set of circumstances took place prior to that was when we were doing that 28-night run. One of those nights was 55 tons just to see if we could do it. And we were getting bored with this shit.
When you're saying these numbers, you say 30,000. It's almost like in my mind I'm hearing 30, and then I keep remembering you're saying 30,000
Right.
pounds. Tons.
Tons of
It's hard to comprehend that.
Right. And I get that a lot through comments, from these shows and stuff about people like, yeah, right, okay, but you know what, dude, if you weren't there, then just keep your fucking mouth shut because, and listen to how it actually took place. Now, we brought 55 tons in, 110,000 pounds in one night, and we had like 5 houses on the island stuffed full of this shit. And several days prior to that, one of the older generations, Daryl, this was his job, he came up to me and my buddy Jimmy, handed us a chainsaw and a wrecking bar and pointed to a brand new Winnebago, 40-foot Winnebago, beautiful thing, man. He says, I want you to go inside there with that chainsaw and wrecking bar and gut that fucking thing out. Take everything from the windows down. From the windows up, leave it. Leave the cabinets, the curtains, and everything in there. Because when you walk up, you look and you see the cabinets and the curtains and shit. But you walk up there and you look in it like this, there was nothing. We even took the seats out, the driver's seat and the passenger seat. Take it all out of there, he said.
You want as much room, right?
Much room as we can to stack bales in this thing. And they put airbags in the shocks. So when you put 10,000 pounds in this thing, it wasn't sparking the highway on the way to Miami, right? It was running level like it should. So I just happened to be, I made $75,000 that night. And I just happened to walk over to, the house that mid-morning to see how things were going and, and shit like that. Well, there was Daryl standing there and he goes, Timmy, come here. And I'm thinking, oh gosh. And, he says, what I'd like you to do, Timmy, if you would, he says, I need somebody I can trust. He says, I want somebody to drive that Winnebago to Miami. And it can't go to the dead drop spot. It can't go to the plaza. It's got to go straight to the house, to the stash house. And I need someone I can trust to go there because I need to be there all day. And when the loads are done coming for that day, I needed to drive a car back with money in it. And I said, because it was Daryl asking me, yeah, okay, sure, why not? He said, I'll give you $35,000 just to drive it, 2-hour drive. Didn't make me feel any better about it.
Right. It's not like you felt like...
So I said, what the fuck, okay. So here I am, I'm got my 2-meter radio, and I'm driving this behemoth down 41 all the way to Miami, and I took it right to the stash house, and a lot of the guys were teasing me about the stash house, about how many guys have been killed in this house, and the Cubans and this kind of shit.
And you got a nice 2 hours, 2 hours to think about it on your way there.
Yeah, to reminisce about my mortality, and they were just fucking with me, So I got over there and I pulled up. As soon as I pulled up next to the house, and it was in an orange grove, a house that didn't belong there. It looked like a medieval castle, is what it looked like.
Out of place, like
just out of place.
It couldn't be more out of place, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck builds a medieval castle in the middle of an orange grove, right? Well, so I pull up.
That is kind of odd, Tim.
The minute I pull up and the cellar doors open and the guys go to work and loading this thing, I go in the house, and I'm, these guys are playing poker and they're playing cards, and I wasn't drinking. And I got to know this guy Jorge, the guy that came to my house with Noriega. And so I meet these guys and I spent the day with them, drive the money back that night, and business as usual. And then comes the operation when they take the adults. This Operation Everglades 2 happens, and there's no work for about a month. Well, I get a knock on my door one day, and it's George, this guy from the house that I stayed at that day. He goes, Timmy, he says, we found you. He said, we were looking for like 3 weeks. They only knew my name, Timmy, in my face. So it took them 3 weeks to find me, but they found me. And he says, man, we got work to do. He says, it's backing up. Can you do this? And I just blurted out, yeah, sure, why not?
right back to like the crab situation.
Just like that, yeah. So I went back to Everglades, and the infrastructure was still there. All us kids, I mean, the guys that were actually doing the work were still there. All the adults were gone. I mean, the managers. And all it was a matter of, me having to figure out and reverse engineer the whole process to figure out how much to charge these guys. Because beyond that, I had no clue how it worked. Where do I go? How much do I charge?
You knew how to load, unload, strategize, hide, get away with it.
Everything from A to Z.
The money.
From A to Z on our side of it, I know it back and forth and in and out. But where do I go in the Caribbean to get it? I knew from several trips to Colombia where to, by boat, but I didn't know who the fuck.
Right, because you had an higher up that would go to you because you were trusted. Your crew was trusted and was like, here's the blueprint, and then you made it happen.
I never met those guys. You're that guy. I was just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So having been so many years in doing this and having worked every position there is to work within our little organization and getting that pay, I just reverse engineered the job and came up with a number that was really very close once I finally talked to one of the other guys, the older generations, and got their connections and their blessing about, a connection in Jamaica, in Venezuela, in Colombia, in Panama, in Honduras, in Mexico. I mean, I had connections all over the Caribbean. If you wanted weed, for whatever you wanted, I could get it for you, cheap. So I was imparted this information, and I was left to go off on my own. And this is the kind of information you don't let your people you're working with privy to, because if they understand that you really don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're not going to last, man. They're going to find a hole for you to sit in. But you don't leave that out. And I just, stood up, nutted up, and took it.
You just play the cards,
and
right?
I said, this is how we do it. Now, if you want me to go to Colombia and load a boat and bring it back here and put it on your doorstep in Miami, it costs you $175 a pound. If you want to send a boat to go get the shit yourself, bring it back here offshore. My guys will go out and get it, bring it, put it on your doorstep. We'll do that for $145 a pound.
Yo, Rob, he's got like a menu. It's like the Mcbride Tavern, right?
But yeah,
I'll take the number one, please.
Yeah.
Side of fries.
number one with extra.
Yeah, extra wrapping maybe.
Yeah.
On mine.
Supersize that, please.
Yeah. So most of the guys opted for me just to do the whole thing. They didn't want to fuck with it. Just bring it to me.
Just get it.
Because here's another $175 a pound. Who cares? They're making $500 a pound on this shit. And they only paid $10 for it. But here we go. Now that the numbers are out here again, let me go back to the violence thing of it and why the violence doesn't exist. It's simply and purely it doesn't exist because if I take $300,000 and turn it into $15 million in less than 2 weeks, the fuckers ain't shooting at me. They can't give me money fast enough to go back and get more.
Too valuable.
Right. Now, if you take that math and you go a little further with it and you say, okay, look, you spent $300,000. I profited you $9,700,000 because I took $5 million. That's mine and my crew's pay.
That's your kick.
So $10 million belongs to you.
Mm-hmm.
You got your $300,000 initial investment plus $9,700,000. You take that $300,000, divide it back into $9,700,000, and you get like 32. So what that means what that number actually means is that I have 32 chances to get your next load in. I can lose the first 31, but if I get that last one in, you still made money.
So there was no
They couldn't
reason
lose.
ever for violence, right?
No. If I lost a load, which I never did, I gave away loads because at that price I could buy 17,000 pounds of shit for 170 grand, which is nothing.
Right. So
in
what's
those
one
days.
here and there?
Put it on a piece of shit boat off of Naples and call the cops on it. And while they're up there thinking that they just scored, we're moving 60,000 pounds into Everglades down here.
Diversity, right? Deviate.
Right.
Deviate.
And if anything ever got lost, it was like, oh, so what? Just go get another one. We still haven't lost money yet. Just go. And that's the significance of it. That's how sick it was. And that's why, there's no violence. Well, the violence begins is when it moves from Miami to Cleveland, Chicago, Boston, New York,
when it
Milwaukee.
gets in the streets. That's
And then
when
the gang guys or whoever it is buying their shit. They're spending all their cash on that lump of shit. If they front some shit to you, they're going to lose that money if you don't fucking pay them back. Then they're going to get mean, they're going to get stupid, and then the gangs, punk shit happens.
Yeah.
That's the violence part of it.
Well, they don't have they're not smart enough to have 31 backups. And plus, they're at the end of the food chain, too.
They're at the bottom of the food chain.
Now, did you actually have like a sit-down with Noriega?
Nope.
Never.
Never met him face-to-face.
Never.
Only time I ever saw him face-to-face was after my indictment and my arrest. I spent 11 months in Fort Myers County Jail before I was sent to MCC Miami Correctional at the Glass House. And during that time, during the last several months of my incarceration in the Fort Myers County Jail, they were doing Operation Just Cause in Panama. And they ousted Noriega and brought him back to the United States. And where did they put him? MCC
Miami.
But they had him in segregation. But from segregation and the general population compounds, you could look through the fences and see across, and I could see him standing in the courtyard over there. But we didn't know one another, but it was kind of interesting.
But you knew who it was.
I knew exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that face, man. You
can't miss it.
Right.
Now, if you compare Miami today to then, what's the difference?
Oh, night and day, man.
Night and day.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a more free, wide open, family-oriented tourist spot, like it always has, like it always should have been. It only got that way for a number of years because of the cocaine trade. And that's when everybody wanted to be the big dog. And you can't have everybody being a big dog because, they're going to start taking each other down. And that's exactly what happened. And barring any other conflict going on as far as a theater of war on the planet, Miami was the most dangerous place in the world to be at that time.
Wow. So, but at the same time, if that cocaine trade didn't happen and the marijuana trade didn't happen and all that money coming in to Miami probably wouldn't be the place it is today, right?
No.
Because like Vegas,
Right.
that was built by the mob.
I remember at one time in Miami during our run in the early 80s, there were something like 27 tower cranes working downtown Miami building high rises. That was all cocaine money.
That's what I mean. So if that didn't happen, what do you think Miami would look like now?
Miami wouldn't be nearly as far along as it is right now.
It probably would be the ghetto.
Yeah,
and
well,
then maybe
no
like
telling.
South Beach would probably still be all right because it's South Beach. But,
Yeah, well, South Beach will always be South Beach.
But other than that,
Well, when the Marolitos came to town, the Cuban flotilla,
yeah,
we were part of that. We got in on that only just to make some cash, and it was just a thing that everybody was into. We went over there, sat in Mariel Harbor for 3 weeks, waiting to get loaded. We got 147 passengers at $3,000 apiece when we split the money 3 ways. We just brought them back to Marathon and dropped them off, and in those days there were scenes on the news where there's people are walking A1A into Miami, just steady, lines of people trucking their way up to Miami.
Unbelievable. Now, does 1988 Operation Everglades ring a bell?
Operation Everglades, Operation Peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
That was my operation.
I thought yours was another Everglades one.
No, Operation Everglades.
How many fucking Everglades ones did they have out there?
Two back-to-back years, and then that took away, what they thought would solve the problem, but by taking the head off the snake. But they hadn't done that. Like I said, they left the infrastructure in place because they didn't know that us kids were involved. They didn't know that half the town was involved and that other half was kids. Well, we just picked up where the adults left off, only we upped our game. We did things a little bit tighter now. We went from bales being what we called originally pillow bales, because they weren't in the early 80s, late 70s, a lot of them weren't packed. And if they were packed, they were done by vice packing. You turn the crank and you press them like this. Well, later on came the early 80s came the advent of the household and commercial trash compactors. That's when they started really packing them tight and making them equal size, all the same size. Now, when that happened, the loads consequently got bigger and heavier because they're more easier to handle. They're easier to stack on board, easier to work with. Now we're moving 3 and 4 times a night, 4 times a week. Sometimes 1 and 2 jobs, 3 jobs going on a night by different crews. I had a crew in Everglades, Goodland, Marco, Naples, and Pine Island. And there's 70 to 80 to 100 guys, 100 people on each crew.
You guys were probably in better shape than professional athletes, right? I mean,
yeah, you'd be surprised, man. Like I said, the crabbing alone, because you worked the crab boats during the day. You did the work.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just don't fuck off. I mean, you have to keep appearances up.
Right. You got to keep.
You go out, you do the crab work, and it's not uncommon for a boat to stay out overnight if it gets late or whatever like that, and then they'll crab a little bit the next day and bring the catch in like that. So staying out wasn't a problem, wasn't an issue. That's when we'd.
And that's like your lair, right?
So,
that's for your lair. Yeah.
We'd go out, we'd crab, and then at night we'd pot haul. And then we go back offshore, scrub down, clean the boat down, and sit next to one of our trap lines in the morning, wake up, pull half a line of traps, and go back in.
Sounds like a hell of a lot of work, but a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's what kept that's what kept it exciting, what kept us staying on that boat working, because I broke my ass during the day hauling traps. Now, there's a stack of traps right there, typical crab trap down there in the lower corner.
Now, what's that weigh?
That weighs probably anywhere between, depending on how much concrete is we pour in the bottom of them, 50, 60 pounds.
Fuck.
Because when you throw that thing off the back of the boat, it's got to land bottom down on the bottom of the ocean.
And if you're listening, it looks like, what do you call those boxes when you see them with the wood like that? Like a crate.
A crate.
Pallet.
Yeah, pallet.
That's all 1x1 lath, pressure-treated lath. In the bottom, you see the first 2 boards on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You see how you can't see through the boards? It's those top of those first 2 boards, that's all concrete in the bottom. So when you throw them off the boat, they got to land bottom down.
Oh, man.
We had 7,000, just our boat. We're pulling 700 a day. We're going to 10 different spots. We're going to a different spot each day and pull 700 traps. I pull 350. The guy on the other side of the boat pulls 350.
I would assume you're not smoking indica.
All day long, man.
You are?
Oh, fuck yeah.
How in the hell are you smoking indica and unloading that much shit?
That's just the way it was.
But how is that possible?
After a while, you just get used to it.
You know how jacked he probably was by just just the shoulders and your.
He still is now.
I know
he's got his shirt off on his website.
Correct.
I mean, he's like not to be fucked with. I will pull it up. Yeah,
I've got what happens when you're a puller. I was a right-handed puller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way this works, and I've described this several different times to help you better understand. Have you seen Deadliest Catch, the movie show Deadliest Catch?
Yeah.
Where they take the grapple and they throw it out there and they grab the buoy. They have two buoys floating with a line between them, and they grab that line in between those two buoys and pull it in and put it around that big thing that's spinning, right? That's called the shiv. Now, the way the shiv is designed is like two pie pans together like this. When you put the rope in there, it cinches between those and it pulls like that. Well, down here below is a little thing called a knife. It's not really a knife, it's just called that. And when the rope comes in, it kicks that rope back out to keep it from winding around that block. Now, on the big boats in Alaska, they take that and then put it into a coiler, and it coils the rope for them because they're using 700-800 foot of rope. Our trap lines at the most were 80 feet, and there's 3/4-inch nylon line. So we've only got one styrofoam buoy this big, and the captain is running the boat back and forth between the buoys like this, and I reach out, grab my buoy, pull it in, run it through that block and around that shiv, and it starts pulling the trap up, and I can control it myself.
Talk about accuracy,
as
bro.
As fast as we can do this. Now, we learned a trick earlier on was that, and a lot of boats didn't do this, would be if you get to your line and the tide is running this way and the boat's running this way, or the boat's running along with the tide this way, and you grab that buoy, there's no slack. That captain's boat's got to back down, boom, back up, give you enough slack to pull it in. We would take the time to run to the other end of the line. Now, 700 traps, you go 350 traps one direction, skip over 100 yards or so, and go 350 back, so you're not twice as far away from where you started. So we get up to the traps, and if there's no slack when you pull it, run to the other end and pull slack lines back this way. Damn. So we can just sing. The boat doesn't have to stop. We can just sing right through them like that. That was part of the key. Plus having your boards pre-nailed and all your stuff ready and like that. Just get your shit together, you know?
You know, it's amazing. It's amazing how complex this is. You know, it's very complex. But I understand it has to be. But, I mean, when you're moving that kind of weight, you better be complex, right?
Right.
But, I mean, you guys really put a lot of thought into how the fuck you're going to do this.
Right.
I mean, this isn't, like you said from the gate, this isn't for little boys.
No, after you do it several times, you start to figure out different, more
clever
ways of doing this. Now, there were a lot of times when, it did get fun on days when we weren't, nights or whatever, days when we weren't pot hauling. And, and I've said this before, we weren't the only ones hauling pot. And I don't want to dismiss anybody that's ever hauled a load of pot because there were pot haulers everywhere.
Yeah, on your website, you have all your articles.
Yeah,
you were far from the only ones. Wasn't like 100 crews or something?
There were guys up and down the coast in Georgia and Mississippi
all
and Louisiana and Texas. I mean, everybody's going for their load here and the load there, like this. But what I wrote in here was, and tried to impart to everyone to help them understand that we were the only ones able to integrate this into a way of life spanning 40 years and 3 generations without getting caught at it. Because, my buddies and I would work one night, we'd go into town the next night, nobody talked about anything. It was like nothing ever happened. Nobody ever spoke about anything ever. And that was when we talk about loyalty, and friendship and trust, that's where I get it from the people I grew up with, knowing that they're relying on me to be the one to shut the fuck up. I'm relying on them's the ones to shut the fuck up and not say a word, and that's just how it was, and it was kept that way for 40 plus years.
Well, it gets ingrained in you,
right? And doing it to the extent at which we were doing it was never done like that anywhere in North America, anywhere in the world.
I'm surprised because that's a lot of money, a lot of weight, a lot of power. Because who doesn't want to go out and mention to a girl, hey, I just brought in 20 tons of weed. I just made $5 million in a month. I'm just throwing the number, but
right.
Every guy wants to say that.
Right.
So it's easy to do it in the beginning,
Right.
but for over a period of time, it's hard to keep.
Well, there's a lot of suspicion, a lot of suspect between your friends in town that know you when you go into town to party and stuff. You know, they have an idea, but like I said, unless you see it for yourself, you don't really know.
I would say that they know Tim, but they don't know. Like they know, but they don't know for sure, but they know because nobody's talking.
Right. Now, when I met
You'll never find that these days.
the girlfriend that I wrote about in the book, she was a bartender at one of the clubs in town. Me and my crew, some of the crew would go in there, you know, and at her spot in the bar and just take 20s and stick them in the glasses that are hanging upside down. Just stuff them full like this. And she's like, "Would you guys bank robbers?" "Yeah, we're bank robbers."
Yeah, you're like perfect.
Just, you know, shit like that. You know, we wouldn't tell her anything. It was, you know, bank robbers, and she would just take all this money. I mean, she was making thousands.
Yeah.
You know?
She was like, "Cool, I got bank robbers and they tip the
Right.
shit out of me." Or she's probably like, "Where are the bank robbers at on days you don't come in?" You know?
And people see you coming into the parking lot, they coming into the bar, everybody goes in because, you know, it's open tab, you know.
Yeah,
But
open bar.
skipping back to the guys, to the other pot haulers, you know, there were guys out there running and doing their thing and stuff like that, you know, and it's, there were some times that they, you know, you could tell the guys didn't really have their shit together a lot of times, and they would get spooked and just throw the load and run for no reason. And one time in particular, this happened, I don't know, I can't tell you how many times it happened. Now, when a bale hits the water, I forget who it was, I think it was Toch, one of the earlier guys, coined the term square grouper. People have always been debated over the years where that term came from and where it was coined. Well, it was coined in Everglades City for the serious simple fact that when, like, we're going out to work one day, we're headed out on our boat, and we're in the bunk sleeping, and it's just, you know, coming dawn, and all of a sudden the captain, he kicks my bunk like this, and he goes, "There are bales out there, boys." You know, we sit up, put our crab boots on, and run out onto the deck, and the sun is just coming up, and the water is slick, calm as glass. And as far as you could see, there's bales floating in the water, man. There's some floating up really high, and some are down low, some are halfway, and like this. You know, we were just plowing right through them. And Huber, the captain at that time, he stops the boat, and we start grabbing them. We start hooking them and grabbing them. We're throwing them up on the deck, man. And we're going crazy because we're going around picking up the high ones that are floating up high, right? Because we had just got there, I think, when they threw the shit. So we start throwing this shit on the deck, and we get, I don't know, 75 pieces or so on there. And Huber, the captain, he's going, "Oh, wait a minute." He says, "We can't take much more than that because it won't fit on the boat we got coming out to get it." You know, we could have took it all, but the boat
didn't have room again.
The boat that was coming out to get it from us to transfer it and take it into the woods so we could go finish our day, you know, and then take care of it that night. You know, we get ours and then leave. So we got ours and put it on the boat. The captain, the guy that owned the boat, Billy, he'd come out in his boat, and we'd load him up, and he'd take it to the woods. Come out, we'd load him again, take it to the woods, and then he'd go home. So we got our stash. We got all we can handle. So we'll go find our line and go pull. So throughout that morning, we got little boats coming up to us going, "Where is the shit?" You know?
Yeah.
It's that direction about 5 miles, and
Go that way.
because somebody got
Right.
on the radio, square grouper, and as soon as they hear square grouper over the radio,
It's over.
Everybody in town that's got a boat is out there.
Everybody and their mother's out there, right?
They're out there looking.
This is like
So-
a Brinks truck that crashes on the interstate and money's
Did
just
you see
flying
that one
around,
last
right?
week?
And you're just grabbing money. That's basically what it is, right? It's like
It's free money because
Yeah.
nobody's coming back for it.
Yeah,
You know?
they're out.
And nobody's going to ask you where you got this shit for sure. So, you know, we wound up, I don't know how much we wound up getting in pounds wise, but it's a whole other story about how we cleaned it up. And we went that afternoon when we got back into the hardware store in town and bought rolls of screen, took it out to the woods with 50-gallon drums of fresh water and stuff. And we strung these things up hammock style through the trees and the mangroves. I mean, everywhere in the woods you look, there was stuff hanging, and we rinse it and turn it for a couple of days to dry it and bring it back in. I think my cut on that was $480,000 I made. Just found it.
Just finding
Just finding the shit.
and trying it out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And
You should open up a cell phone
There
store
was-
and start drying out cell phones and get wet. You probably would make a lot of money.
there were a couple times that sort of thing happened. It happened kind of regularly, but there was one time in particular where we found a bunch of shit. Me and a couple of buddies were out in a little boat, and we found some stuff. And, we brought it back to my buddy's trailer, and we started to stack, putting it in the rooms, and it's, knee deep or better in these rooms, and we got fans going, and you got to go in there and turn the shit every now and then. So we get this stuff in, we get it going. So we decided to go back in the boat and go back out and see how everybody else is doing, right? So we go out to a little island called Flubber Key, and we're just going around. It's an outer island with bright white sandy beaches, and these two younger kids, they're standing up on the beach waving at us like this. So we come in a little bit closer, and they're like, they're yelling, "Where is the shit?" And we're like, "Look down at your feet." And the bales had come apart, and the shit washed up in high tide and put a high tide ring of a mountain of weed all the way around this fucking island. And dude, you're standing in it. They look down at their feet, and there's all these buds lining the beach.
And they're probably like,
oh, pull the boat up. They're like shoveling, they're throwing the shit into the boat like this. I mean, the shit was everywhere.
I still can't believe you did all this on Indica. Yeah. I mean, that's insane. I mean, you were probably getting high just being around it.
Yeah,
well, just the wind blowing, the smell from the shit.
Part of our job as being the unloaders of the mothership was to try the shit as we're coming back in, because we got hours to piss away while the captain does his job.
I'm surprised everybody wasn't out on the blade out.
We were sitting out there and we're smoking this shit, and we're thinking, oh, this is good shit. So when you get back to the, when the boats are coming to take it off of us, we're like, yeah, you guys, need to grab some of this shit because it's fucking good, And then some of it wasn't so good, and then some of it was good. But we went out one time and we got this stuff. It was Jamaican. From Jamaica, and it came in packaged in Marlboro boxes. It looked like Marlboro cigarettes, but they were in giant boxes with they had the nylon bags that had Marlboro on them and stuff like this. So we're trying this shit out, and we're pulling the stuff out, and we realized that not one of us had a pipe, not one of us had a rolling paper, a match, or a lighter on board. And we're thinking, what fucking pothole doesn't have shit to smoke weed with, right? So,
So wait, let me get this straight. You figure out how to beat detection and bring in gazillions of tons of weed, but you don't have anything to make a joint. And then even if you did, rig something to roll it, you don't have a lighter.
Yeah, right. So we improvise. So we go to the back of the stern of the boat where we have our shade that we work under. So we're stacking the shit from as high as the wheelhouse. And we get to the shade, we got to come down and then under the shaded part. So in the very back in the stern of the boat is a aluminum deck hatch that we open up where you can see the steering mechanism and things like that and check the bilge. Well, we pulled the bales up and stacked them out till we exposed that aluminum deck hatch. Opened one of the bales up and took a handful of shit, put it on that aluminum deck hatch.
Yeah.
Captain Billy's got a 12-volt battery in the wheelhouse. So we brought the battery back to the back of the boat, and we tore a wire off of one of the fish crates and touched the positive and negative, and it's glowing red in the middle, and I just turned it like that and hit the pile, and my buddy Mark's down there like a Boy Scout, getting this thing to smolder and mold like this, right? Yeah. And all we had was a 5-gallon bucket. So we take a 5-gallon bucket and hold it over the smoke, let it get nice and full, and stick it on each other's head.
Did you get high?
It worked, bro.
You got smoked? I was going to say...
Old school bong, homemade bong.
Yeah, homemade bong.
Smoking out of a 5-gallon bucket.
It sounds like you were getting prepped for jail.
Yeah, well, it worked.
With the wires and the mop bucket. Oh, shit. You were getting prepped before you even knew it.
Right. So, yeah, that was one of the more crazier scenarios right there.
That's funny as well. So, now when you get rated... Right, it's 88. Right. You got $8 million in the house.
I got 6.7 million.
Okay, close enough. It said $8 million in the papers. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it did. It says $8 million in the papers.
Yeah.
Even says it on your website.
Yeah,
you're just putting articles up. But it said $8 million.
Right.
In cash.
In cash.
Now, did you know that they were coming?
No.
Yeah, no idea.
Mm-mm. Actually, the guy when I showed you the chase boat, me driving, the guy standing next to me. Mm-hmm. He was at that time renting a room in my house. He was one of my dearest friends because his house that he had rented was getting sold. So I said, come on over and stay for a while, no problem. Well, he was there that night that they came to the house. It's like 2:30 in the morning. My dogs are barking. I have these Maltese dogs. And I walked out in the front room, and I'm looking out the blinds, and I see this
guy here.
Yeah, that's...
So he's at your house,
Donnie, the guy on the other side.
On the blue.
He's staying at my house.
Okay.
So I walk out to the front, and I open the blind, and I look, and I see one Naples Sheriff's deputy standing on the front porch. So I tell Donald, I said, just tell the fucking guy I'm not home, I said, I think that, maybe the neighbors called because the dogs were barking or some shit. So I go back and I lay down in bed. He opens the door, and that fucking cop grabs him, threw him out in the front yard, and there was like 9 guys dressed like ninjas sticking guns in his face and his head and shit like this. And they're like, is Tim McBride in there? And he's like, yeah, he's in there. And I could hear this shit going on. I'm like, thanks, Donald, right?
Yeah.
So here they come. I see the flashlights on the walls in the hall and shit like this. And I go out and I stick my head around the corner, and I said, get that fucking light out of my eye. And the guy goes, step out here. And he says, get on your knees, put your hands behind your head. So I went down like this, and they fuckers tackled me. I don't know how many of them was, and I can feel that cold steel against my skin. They dragged me out into the living room and cuffed me and set me down like this, and they cleared the house. Now, one guy asked me, he goes, there's nobody here. He says, all right, let's go. And I said, well, hey, hold on, man. I'm sitting here in my fucking underwear. Let me get some clothes. That bedroom where you saw me coming out of and tackled me, just take me back there and let me get a pair of jeans and a shirt, in the closet. And he said, no, you sit your ass right there. I'll go get them. Big tough guy. So I said, okay, which room? I said, the closet's closest to the wall. Well, he goes and he's not back there 5 seconds, and I hear him, Jesus Christ, he goes. And I yell back, wrong closet.
Let me guess, that's where the money was.
That's where
right?
I had 6 safes, identical safes, and they each had cash in them. And he comes back out with my jeans and shirt and throws them down like that. And he says, what do you got in the safe back there? And I said, well, you show me a piece of paper that says you can rifle through my shit, and I'll be glad to open them for you. Well, they didn't have that. All they had was my arrest warrant, and they needed to clear the house and take me out of there. So they hauled me out of there, and the first chance I got when I wound up at the customs headquarters in Naples, I get my phone call. I called my brother, and I said, first thing you do before you call Dennis, my lawyer, is get over to the house and get my shit out of there, man, before they come after it.
But you made that call from jail?
I made a call from the
Weren't you concerned that it was recorded? They weren't recording back then.
I didn't care.
It was worth the risk because it was going one way or another.
Get my
right?
shit out of there, man.
Yeah.
So
I won't ask you if he did. I don't want to know.
So yeah, that was quite a day.
So then you go in and you end up getting what, 4 years?
I wound up in the beginning I was given 4 indictments. I was served 4 indictments. Now in September 1st in 1987 is when they changed the federal sentencing guidelines across the boards, because they understood by that time that the sentences they were giving out weren't having any effect on what it was they were trying to achieve. So like the Daniels guys in 36 months for all that shit, they weren't about to let that happen. So the mandatory minimums now became life sentences. If you had an indictment, one indictment, you have 4 counts on each indictment. There's a mandatory 10 years to life for each count and $1 million fine for each count. Oh. So if you got one indictment, that's a mandatory 40 years to life and $4 million in fines. Well, they stacked 4 of these on me. So I had 160 years mandatory to life and $16 million in fines.
And what that means is consecutive. They instead of running it together, because you got 4 of basically the same thing, they go 4, 1, 2, one on top of another.
Well, at this point in time, they ran them concurrent because, 40 years to life, it's a little bit redundant to go 3 more.
Right, but that's what you could have been looking at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could have been looking at consecutives and we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. Right. But a very particular sequence of events took place that allows me to be able to sit here right now, and it's all in this book. And it would take another 4 hours of conversation with
we want people to buy the book
to through it all.
This is the teaser for the book,
right? This is all. This is a lot of in between stuff that that doesn't make it to the book, because I wrote when I was contracted. I did this. I went the long route with this. I did the full thing. I got a literary agent. I queried for a literary agent, got a literary agent, and then they approached the publishers for me. I wrote the proposal, and they submitted it for me.
And here you can get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
You can also get it on your website.
Yeah, I have a link there too. The Audible version is very cool, done by a guy named Wes Talbot, who did, prior to my book, mostly Stephen King's work. He did 32 books for Audible.
Wow. And then you got the hardcover.
I have a hardcover, and I also have an ebook version of it, an electronic version of it.
And then you have it on your site too, right?
Yeah, the link is on my site.
Go to the site.
Yeah.
And go to buy book.
Yep.
And it just takes you right there.
There's the link.
There, and we'll have all that in the description. And it's originalsaltwatercowboy.com.
Right.
Everything about Tim. And you can go to Amazon and get the book. You got it every which way you could possibly get it.
Right. Amazon is crazy now. I mean, the book sells ridiculously. Amazon buys a stock of books, and within days they're gone. And then I think what they're doing now is they're taking a little bit of a break as far as that goes to allow the ebook and the audibles to catch up, because in reality, the ebooks and the audible books are my most lucrative deals as far as contracts for the book, because there's no overhead really. It's a download.
Yeah.
And I can make up to, I think, 42% of the cost of the download.
And I would think that the majority of people are getting the audiobook or the Kindle or whatever.
Yeah, it's much easier.
I personally like paper, but
right.
I'm
an old school book guy myself, because I never really read a lot until I was in prison. And I had my printout the day I left, when you get your walk around.
Yeah.
I did a printout at the library, some 480 books I'd read since I'd been there.
Damn.
And I was there 4 years.
That's a lot of books in 4 years.
Ultimately 4 years. And the reason for that was because the 160 years to life mandatory and stuff like that was a tool that they were using to frighten the wits out of everybody.
Like a scare tactic.
And shut it down.
Yeah.
What they had really done by design rather than by accident was approach this in a way whereby when they started affecting the arrests, they would take they started with the younger guys from the crew. There was one of the guys who was an older generational family there who was in trouble in Colombia, and he had gotten himself in prison doing a fucked up coke deal or something down there, and the U.S. government knew who he was and went down there and said, look, here's what we can do for you. This is what you need to do for us. We'll get you out of this hellhole where the rats are trying to come in, through holes like this, into his cell. So they got him out of there and brought him back, put him right back to work with us. And none of us knew what he'd been involved in. And he ran the chase boat for the last job that I was involved in on Pine Island, 52,000 pounds. I did split the load, half to Everglades and half to Pine Island, and they knew it from the beginning. So I also at that time had kids, 19, 20 years old, 21 years old, just like I was when I started running pot boats through the islands for us and that. So they pick on these guys and they say, look, things have changed now. This is no longer a slap on the wrist, 18 months, go home with probation kind of thing anymore. This is life. This is 40 years you're going to get, no matter what.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. So you tell a kid that's that young, his ass is going to go whoosh, and he's going to start telling you all about his grandma and his grandpa and, and everybody like that. So, but what happened was the design part of the scenario through the government was, we will give you immunity from prosecution from everything that you've ever done and allow you to spill your guts to us and tell us all about your friends and who this and who that and whatever like that. And we'll hold one count in reserve so we can give you something. We got to do something. Being law enforcement, we can give you probation, we can give you time served, we can send you home, we can do whatever we want to, but we have to do this cooperation thing to get sentenced beneath the mandatory minimum. This is called a Rule 35. Now, giving them that immunity, what that did was open the door for anybody else that's coming down the pipe. If you hear Teddy's name, you hear Willie's name, you hear Johnny's name, and you go to them and you say, look, dude, they're talking about you. Now, I would suggest that you take the deal that they give you, take their immunity deal, because you can't, and then tell on Jimmy and Willie and Jeffrey over here, because they've got immunity, you can't hurt them. So give them their names. So everybody's telling everybody that already got this deal, and they're not hurting one another. But it didn't make any difference to the government that they were hearing a lot of the same names. All that told them was that they're getting the right people.
Right.
So everybody's saving their asses by telling, blah, 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 blah.
But it was already done anyway.
It all came out.
Yeah.
And it ended it, because, at that point, it's over with. Everybody that ever picked up a bale of pot in Southwest Florida was on that list.
Right. So what does it matter?
So
right, so you're kind of just helping each other out in a way.
You're helping each other out of a life sentence.
How crazy is that?
So when it came to a guy like me, they want to know who the guys and the Cubans in Miami, and who am I flying off in this private jet 2-3 times a month, and where am I going? Somewhere, you're going somewhere with this shit. But I couldn't tell them that. I said, you might as well just shoot my ass,
Yeah, I was gonna
shoot my
say,
family,
that's a death sentence.
shoot anybody that ever knew me, because even though we weren't violent throughout this whole period, this whole decade or better of doing this, there was not ever, did I ever see one fucking gun, ever, except one time in Colombia. I'll tell you about that one. But that's just the way it was. So they knew that, and they also knew that what they were ultimately catching in this Operation Peacemaker were the kids. They weren't willing to send kids away for the rest of their lives when a year ago they were sending their uncles and dads away for 14 months.
Yeah, right.
So they gave them this squeaky clause to help, remedy the situation. And what it wound up doing was knocking the wind out of the whole Southwest Florida spot hauling thing. And the federal magistrate, finally when it came to my sentencing, of course, the only cooperation that I could wind up giving them was working with the United States Treasury agents and the U.S. District Attorney's Office and telling them they asked me, how were you able to do this for 10 years or a decade and we couldn't catch you? And I said, well, game over. I can tell you that shit. So for about 10 months, they were taking me in and out of that jail cell in Fort Myers and walking me cuffed and chained and shit down the sidewalk around to the federal building. I'm walking downtown like this. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
How are you doing? Take me in the federal building.
I'm not a murderer. Right?
Buy me a sandwich, and I would sit there and tell them just how fucking stupid they were. And the first couple of questions I asked these two Treasury agents were, I said, do you understand the geography of Everglades City? Oh, yeah. Okay. And I said, how many roads in and out of there are there? Well, there's one. Yeah, there's one. How many roads are there directly from Everglades City to Miami? There's one. Yeah, there's one. And I said, well, how do you think we got all those millions of pounds of weed to Miami? And they didn't take it over there on the backs of pelicans and fucking porpoises, for Christ's sake.
Shit, right?
It went down that one goddamn road, and half the time we're waving at you as we're taking it. That's how it works. Hide in plain sight. That's how stupid
I could
you
picture you saying that. Sure.
And
what was the reaction when you told him that you were driving by him all the time?
Well, here's the thing. I go on, I tell them about that. I tell them about the amounts of money being made and, certain payoffs being made, but you can figure that out. If you can figure out who they were, more power to you, but I'm not going to tell you. And just the sheer volume of merchandise and the sheer amounts of money. They came and got me one day and pulled me out. I'm thinking, here we go, and just another round of questioning, just like before. Only they took me down a different hallway and put me in a small room with one guy in it and a polygraph machine.
Oh shit!
They didn't believe me.
No,
they didn't believe a fucking word I was telling them. When they unhooked me from that machine and I walked out, I turned back and looked at them. They all had this dumbass look on their face, and I just smiling. Because now they knew I was telling the truth. It was like,
I told you so.
I was telling you the truth.
Yeah.
So, because it was even to them, my imparting this the way I am to you was totally unbelievable to them. And this is law enforcement. They had no fucking clue, man. I mean, it was just millions of pounds of shit went through that island that they had no clue about. And it was kids doing it. And they weren't going to allow kids to do life sentences when their dads and uncles were doing, less than that a year before.
At least they were fair. At least they were fair then.
Well, yeah, they did show that a modicum of
compassion
and discretion, if you will. And I just don't understand why they didn't go ahead and let that spill over into the rest of the country. The rest of the guys that were getting involved in this and like that benevolence, it only showed through in a certain portion of it. Like you've got friends, like you said, are still doing time.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
unfortunately,
it's all about control.
It is. And they like to exert that any chance they can get, because I was taken on a road trip. I was given diesel therapy. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah.
They did diesel therapy on me for about 6 months, and I wound up in some fucked up places, man. I was in El Reno in Oklahoma. I wound up in Lompoc, California.
Yeah, Oklahoma's not a fun place to be.
It was, birds flying around inside the fucking place, shitting on everything.
Yeah.
I wound up in Leavenworth. I was in
thank you.
I was in Marion.
No, definitely no thank you. And for the people that don't know, you do not want to go to Marion. You certainly do not want to go to Leavenworth. And diesel therapy Tim is designated, and that means that's the jail you're going to go to, is say in Florida, and you're in Florida. But you end up somehow in Oklahoma.
They take me
Marion,
all across
Leavenworth,
the country.
Then you go to, like, sometimes they'll take you to Tallahassee.
I went.
And your destination's right there, but then they'll shoot you back to, like, Arizona and all this shit to just torture you.
I went from Marion to Sandstone, Minnesota, to Petersburg in Virginia, to Atlanta Federal Max, to Talladega.
Federal Max? The Atlanta Max?
Atlanta Max.
Oh.
And then I went to Talladega, and from Talladega, they drove us by bus to Tallahassee, where I was designated. And it was 8 months before I got there. Now, the diesel therapy is designed to wear your ass down to where you just say, I give the fuck up. Okay, my guys in Miami are this. My guys in Columbia, but it didn't happen because it couldn't happen. I couldn't allow that to happen, no matter what they did to me. And by that time it didn't matter because I wasn't prepared for it. Nobody ever really is, but prepared as much as I can be by way of not having any significant love life that I had to worry about leaving behind. No wife, no kids, no girlfriend, no children, no nothing of that. It was just me. Took it all on myself. And being a loner and going into that scenario made it a little bit easier for me to, to adapt. But I saw a lot of good guys go fucking running for the fence, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure you've seen your share of it.
I've seen it too. Yeah.
And when I got to prison, everybody gets a job. My first job at Tallahassee was in the construction building, and I said, I want to build this fucking place. So I met a guy out in the yard. His name was Rolando. He worked down in the education building. Tallahassee is, as far as the Bureau of Prisons are concerned, is the hub of education in the Bureau of Prison system. If you want an education, they'll transfer you from anywhere in the United States and bring you to Tallahassee because they have civilians that come in the compound and professors and teachers and whatnot, and they'll give you whatever education you desire on the government. So my job, then I took a job as a law clerk in the legal library. So I had to go down and meet the head of the legal library, the law clerk. His name was Dennis Lehman. Down there on the bottom next to the traps, me shaking hands with that guy. That's Dennis Lehman.
Yep.
He was a bank robber as well.
Was he?
When I met Dennis, he had already been in for 38 years.
Hey, it looks pretty good for being in 38 years.
He was in the Guinness Book of World Records for having gotten the most amount of time for that particular crime, which was at the time bank robbery. Well, keep in mind now, too, that he didn't actually rob the bank. He was flying the airplane that the two bank robbers were running to get in to fly away. They nailed his ass because for a number of years prior to that, he was flying cocaine from Mexico to Nevada, and they couldn't catch him.
So they just hammered him. Even though they didn't get him on that.
They hammered him, and they gave him the max.
Yeah.
And poor Dennis, he's handing me my
certification,
my writing, my fictional writing certification.
Oh, that's cool. Congratulations.
Because he taught a class in fictional writing, and he was a published author in prison. He wrote a book called The Get Backs of Mother Superior.
Oh, shit.
And the gist of the book is, I'll tell you real quickly, is, guys sometimes get nicknames when they're in prison.
Yeah.
Well, this guy happened to rob a bank dressed as a nun. So when he got to prison, he was called Mother Superior.
That's a fucking
And he figured out through computers how to get all the gates open and shit like that and let the prison go.
Unbelievable.
Cool story, cool story. But I got my writing chops, and what I got from him was the ability to impart the sights, the sounds, the tactile sensations, and everything you might feel when you're reading a book.
Right.
How do I
feel like you're there?
How do I bring you into this scenario and give you that experience? He taught me that.
Smart. Because then it makes you feel like you're there. You know, any good movie that you're locked into, you feel like you're there while you're watching it, and all your problems go away. If you ever noticed that, if you've ever had any problems.
Yeah. And that's why I'm so proud of the book as the way it turned out, because every author is dumbfounded or actually humbled when the book actually turns out the way you intended it to turn out. I intended it to grab you, pull you to the front of your chair in the first chapter, and keep you there throughout the whole book. And my 100 plus, almost 200 reviews on Amazon states that very thing. I mean, it's just an awesome killer read. Some people couldn't put it down.
And we'll scroll through it before you get out of here.
Sure.
But on your webpage, if you just read the teaser that you got there, I mean, it pushes you. That guy taught you well, because it does. And like when you first came in, the way you ended on the website, it's like, you little fucker. Now I got to go see what the rest is, Now I got to go.
Right.
And but it's really good. We'll go through it then. And again, original saltwatercowboy.com/media. You can see all kinds of shit on there.
Yeah.
Now, go back to the original screen, because now you're friends with some of these guys that hit you.
Right.
So tell me the story about your guy up there.
John.
Or up there, yeah.
This is John DC.
Now he's actually got piggy ears behind your head, but they got cut off.
Yeah, he's doing this behind my head.
I'll
like
put it
this.
in. I'll edit it in.
And that was John. I met him in LA Fitness. We were working out. I was working out, came to the end of my workout, and he was talking to the guy next to me. And I hear talking about United States Customs and, Marco Island and Naples. And then he said 1980s. And that's when I went, oop. When I chimed in, I said, excuse me. But I couldn't help but overhearing, I said, I have a bit of a history with U.S. Customs from those days, and he says, yeah, I said, I got my picture on the front page of one of those newspapers. And I don't remember which one it was right offhand, and blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't think anything of it. And I wind up, I'm in the car, I'm driving home, and I'm thinking, no fucking way, man. I'm thinking, and I get home and I open up my paper, and there he is on the front page with me. That 1988 front newspaper from Naples Daily News. There he is standing there on the front page.
Is that the one we have?
Yeah.
Yeah, slide across. Just one, hit the slide thing.
There it is.
Okay, so
That's John right there. That's him.
John's on the right. So if you're listening, this is the Naples Daily News.
And there's me in the center column, second name down. Go down, right there.
Right there. Timothy Mcbride.
38, agents say 38 helped import over 150 tons. Now, for that regard, let me tell you something about that. That 150 tons, they didn't realize until after they started effecting these arrests that was only about a week's work. A week's work, dude. Almost 400,000 pounds. And
now, isn't that even hard for you to comprehend today?
No.
No.
I mean, I've seen it done. So
yeah. But I mean,
but in contrast to, if I take that notion as compared to people's reactions to it, yeah, I can understand the reaction totally. I get it.
Right.
It's bizarre, and like I said, sometimes I hear myself say it. See, there's the boat.
Yeah, so explain this picture.
Still, okay.
And pretend somebody's listening, just in case they don't get the video.
John and I, now this picture was done out of the one that showed him behind me with his fingers behind my ears. My photographer cropped out the fingers, took out the background, and he put some of John's memorabilia up behind me and some of my stuff, my picture stuff, up behind him and behind me. This is their interdiction vessel that they were so proud of, called Blue Thunder. This was a confiscated vessel that was
and you're talking about
on the lines of a Donzi.
On the right, the boat on the right?
The boat on the right,
okay.
Behind John. Deep V-hull, powerful boat. Wasn't all that fast, but it could take a sea and it could run with you if it needed to. Now, on the other side, behind my right shoulder, is our crab boat, the Hard Times, with a few bales on the back.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's on the back of there, Tim?
That's just a piece of a load. The bales are typically stacked. You see the roof on the wheelhouse?
Yeah.
You see the little section up there where you can sit?
Yep.
We'd stack bales up there as high as the radar, just so the radar can turn.
Now, right there, what I'm looking at, how much is there, would you say?
Right there, maybe 10,000 pounds.
Jeez. And then what's that little plane there on your forearm?
Yeah, okay. Well, if you see down below my other elbow, below the U in Outlaw, there's the guy's head right there. That's the pilot of a plane. Now, on the opposite side is the shoulder of the co-pilot over here.
Yeah.
Now, John, this guy, is sitting behind these two, taking a picture out the front of the airplane that they're flying in of that plane loaded with coke. They're trying to force him to land that plane.
I see.
So John sitting in the back just said, oh, take a picture.
Yeah, and then to the right is him walking you out under his shoulder.
To the right is that's walking us out of the Everglades City Jail to the federal building.
And then it says, area part of U.S. pot dragnet.
Yep, that was the headline of the Naples
What
Daily
was with
News.
why'd they call it dragnet? Because you were fishing it in?
No, dragnet, just like, cops all come in and, it's a dragnet. It's a cop thing. They just sweep in and just comb the area, man. Fucking bad guys.
I just know. I look and I say, "Uh-oh, door's coming down again."
So, this is me and John working out down here. We become,
buddies.
dear friends. I mean, he's just the coolest guy, man. I mean, regardless of the fact that they chased us and tried to put us away for life, but circumstances being what they are, and the time going by, it's all water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. I got my life back. I've got 2 wonderful kids. I've got a granddaughter now, and a lot of that's due to him and his people, because they actually sat with the magistrates in federal courts and did case by case, person by person, saying that, okay, we've got these horrendous mandatory minimums, but which essentially took discretion away from the magistrates as far as sentencing, because they used to be able to say, okay, he was a decent guy, never got in trouble, never had a ticket, even, he's got kids at home, he's got a family, and they could take all this under consideration while sentencing you. But when the new guidelines came out, they took all that away. Now it's a slide rule. This is what you get, and there's not a damn thing the magistrate can do about it. So they get their heads together when they realize that they've gotten down to, after the 3rd operation, kids that, and like I said, they weren't willing to, throw kids' lives away like that. So they went through case by case and said those discretionary things. They've got kids, it's this, and family's a good guy, and sentences were worked out that way.
And there was no violence.
And absolutely no violence. That was one of the biggest things about it all, because John actually told me, we're working out one day, and he was so proud of that damn Blue Thunder boat. I had to tell him. I told him, I was I unloaded 47,000 pounds off of Marco at Caxambas Pass one night. And we just got done unloading, and shit was in the house, and they sent the boat south to clean up, and get ready to go out and wait the night out, and we hear this thing coming. Of course, you could hear that boat at night, coming 10 miles away, man. Yeah. So he was probably at North Naples when we heard this rumble, this thing coming, right? So I went up with my buddy Todd to meet the boat, because I didn't want him running past us and catching up with the load boats down south. So we went up to meet him and let him see us. And I turned around, and I knew how fast this boat would go, because they confiscated it from somebody I knew. We built that fucking boat.
Right, so you know everything about it.
Yeah, and I'm telling these guys, the Secret Service and CIA guys that come to run into addiction, I said, you didn't take that thought process one step further and remember that we built that, and all I had to do was build one a little more better than that, Yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah. So I'm pacing these guys, keeping just ahead of them, and the night before, I'd gone into Goodland, which is a little island between Everglades City and Naples, or Marco Island. And the pass is really tricky to get into, because the bottom shift there is pretty bad. With any type of significant weather event, the sand will shift the bottom, and you have to find the deep water. Well, we went in the night before and found where the deep water was and where the sandbars were. So I came south, and I'm teasing this guy and let him catch, and then I'm pulling away, let him catch and pulling away. And I went past the entrance to Goodland, only because there was a big underwater sandbar and an oyster bar right there. I went south and turned around and cut back, and he thought, oh, he missed the pass, he's coming back, and I drew him right over that. He was going to turn and cut me off. I drew him right over that sandbar. And I knew right at that moment, as soon as I saw him turn, I pulled my throttles back and just sat and watched. And they went up on that goddamn sandbar, and that big-ass boat went up on its side like that.
And I bet you went...
Oh, fuck yeah. We had our bandanas on. Yeah. And I pulled the bandana down, and we put my feet up on the console like this, and we're drifting past them. We're like, I could have probably spit on him. We were that close. I'm smoking a big fat one. I hear those guys are walking around in ankle-deep water going, son of a bitch! So I just went like that and took off. And they weren't coming off of that thing for about another 9 hours, because they just caught the low tide. I mean, they got to wait for the tide to finish and then the tide to come back.
They ain't moving.
They ain't going nowhere.
But, it's so cool to see that you guys are cool. I ran into one guy who was really cool. He was just doing his 9 to 5. He wasn't a jerk off. He was just doing his job.
Right.
I don't want to say his name because I don't.
Sure. Sure.
But he was cool. He was.
And it turned out
he was a real good looking guy too. And respectful.
Right.
And like I said, he was just doing his job.
Right.
I just can't stand when they go beyond their job. Yeah. And it's a power trip and whatever else.
And I haven't yet come across anyone quite like that yet. Everybody that's been introduced to me or met me from the FBI or whoever like that, there was a modicum of respect between us. And I think a lot of that had to do with the nonviolent nature in which we operated.
Well, the good thing is
the fact that we were kids,
Yeah, well, today they don't give a fuck. Most of them.
Right. And because it was wasted their goddamn time.
Yeah.
All that billions of dollars wasted on their efforts that got them absolutely nowhere, because they were, we would laugh. We'd sit at that time, in the early 80s and such, and you'd see the nightly news or whatever, and they'd say, drug addictions are down or up by 30%, or, assets seized are up by such and such a percent, and we're laughing thinking, what the fuck? Where are you getting your number from, man? What's your baseline? You're not even close. Because in our estimation in those days, for every 1 pound that they seized, 70 got through. That was our number.
Well, it says 80% of the marijuana from Colombia was going to the United States.
And where was it?
And it was probably more than 80%. They were probably downing that a little bit to make it sound better, right, Tim?
And the majority of that was coming into South Florida. And I tell you what, it got ridiculous at one point. I mean, we were emptying mountainsides of shit, dude. I couldn't get boats back there fast enough to get it. We're running out of burlap to put it in.
It's a good problem to have.
There was the coffee industry. There was the sugar industry. We used up every bag of burlap bag from the coffee industry we could get our hands on. They used all the sugar, the nylon woven burlap looking bags that they put sugar cane in and stuff. We used almost every one of those. There were no more left in the country. I'm starting to see loads come in Purina monkey chow bags. And I thought, I never knew Purina made monkey fucking chow, or horse chow, or lion chow. They were for zoos. They made chow for zoos, and now we're using these bags too because they're running out of shit to put them in.
Unbelievable, right?
Then they come in Marlboro boxes and shit because there's nothing to put left to put it in. I mean, it was that ridiculous.
So your story is a series, I think. Yeah. I think one day you could turn this into a series.
There's just too much to tell.
But it's such a fucked up industry. I mean, so many people have come in and they've gotten these number deals, but then the number deal never works out to be the number deal. And
I was optioned by FX.
Yeah.
And FX at that time was just in pre-production for Snowfall. And what they didn't want at that time was to create a conflict of genre on their own network by having two drug shows. But the story was so compelling to them that they didn't want to let go of it. So they decided they would produce the program and bring USA Network in to air it. So we got all through that. They optioned it two times in a row, which was not a bad deal. But during that option, I passing on movie deals and stuff because my shit's locked into FX. Well, they had trouble attaching a director. And when they stumbled upon, that, they wanted to re-option. I didn't re-option with them because I wasn't going to let them hold that. I'm passing up, Lakeshore Entertainment. I'm passing up Frank Marshall, which is Spielberg's partner, wanting to,
Why pass that one?
Well, because my book was still optioned by FX. They still owned the rights to
okay.
to the filming and that.
Okay.
When they buy the option, that ends it. They have it
forever.
They have it for 16 months.
16 months, okay.
Or however long I determined the option should last. If they're in financing by the last 2 months of the option before it runs out, if they're in financing and that, and they're starting on their way, then the option will continue. If they're not in financing or anything like that at that point, then the option runs out. It reverts back to me. Now you either pay me again to have the option given back to you, or I take it somewhere else. But while that option is tied up, I can't do anything with it.
So right now, are you tied up?
Nope.
You're open.
I'm free and clear, man.
You're a free agent.
I'm a free agent. What I need at this point is a script.
Yeah.
Because when you read the book, and everybody that reads the book, the first thing that comes out of their mouth 9 times out of 10 is, what a damn, I have to make a cool-ass movie, But what you don't understand, and you and I think I understand, is it's a tough industry to get into, man. It doesn't make any difference how good a book you've got. You still have to translate that book from that to the screen. And I'm a writer, but I'm not that writer. I'm not a screenwriter. I don't have the wherewithal or the ability to, or the experience to create the banter, to create the third plot, the second plot twists, and all the stuff that goes along with putting a story like this together for the screen.
And Tim, not only that, you not only need a good script, a good backing, you also need good marketing. You could have the best series or movie or, really well done documentary on one of these major networks, but if you don't have the marketing behind it, it's done for.
Right.
Really, it could be the best movie script, anything in the planet, but if for whatever reason, if some jerk off just doesn't like it,
right,
and he doesn't feel like hitting the button where this team goes and does what they're supposed to do.
There are so many very popular movies, so many cult classics that came this close to not being made for those same reasons.
Yeah. So you're doing the right thing by being very careful.
And I've been very cognizant and very aware and very careful about who I option this to, because I'm not giving it to just anybody.
Don't.
That's why I didn't self-publish. I felt that this was more worthy of something more than self-publishing, so I went the whole route because it was, it's a book that deserves that, and because it's a tale of course, it's my ride through the war on drugs. It's not a boring statistical romp through the war on drugs. It's me sitting on a sofa next to you, telling you these crazy ass stories, one guy to another, and it's a true story. And when I started to write this or put this together, I went down to Everglades to get the old timers involved and say, look, they heard I'm writing a book and stuff like that. And everyone agreed that if it's going to get written, it should be written by somebody who was there, somebody who knows exactly what took place and that can tell it truthfully, because what we weren't willing to do was allow 20, 30 years, 40 years to pass by and all of us are dead, and some half-assed journalist or some dumbass historian pulls all these articles together and patch quilts a story that they think took place. And we weren't going to allow that to happen.
Well, look,
this is exactly what took
Well, look at the couple mistakes that I made that I asked you. That wasn't because I didn't research you. That was what I read. That's what's out there. So like you just said, and I could show you, but we'll be here forever if I show you all the notes I have that I just went like this because they're not right. And that's from shit that is online, that's Googled. So
right.
I completely understand your point that this is a history.
Right.
This is a generation on top of generation. And if you didn't do this, they're going to do what I just did or what somebody else may do that researches you, that talks to you.
Exactly. And they're going to come
all
up.
off. And the one thing that I fucked up, that was actually in the Naples newspaper. And it's on your site. You know, if you go down on all your articles, it's there. And it says that you got pinched on an Everglades City raid, that they said Operation Ever, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is it's a great thing that you did that, whether it turns into a movie series or not,
right?
Because this is more than that. This is a generational thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's illegal, it's weed, or is it illegal, or isn't it illegal? What the fuck? No, whatever it is.
Right.
This is more kind of, I'm getting the feeling everybody wants to make money,
right?
But it's also for like your family too.
Well, that's a lot of problem I have with the contradiction between what somebody else writes and what I write. People more tend to believe a journalist in what they wrote rather than what comes out of the guy who wrote the book's mouth, and that's when I get a lot of bullshit.
Yeah,
this guy's full of shit. This guy's not real, But you know what? How embarrassing for you that you don't do your homework, that you don't allow yourself to go, completely through the research aspect of this thing to find out what's true and what's not true before you open your fucking mouth and make a decision on me.
Right.
Don't judge me by what you read in the newspapers. Read the book that came from Everglades, that came from the old timers, the stories that came from us kids and the old timers and everybody involved. You want to know what actually took place? Don't take my word for it. Read it.
Well, they're like that because most people aren't like you. They exaggerate it and make themselves more than what they are. But the problem with you is there's proof.
Well, yeah,
and the facts back what you're saying.
And when it comes back to the aspect of embellishment, I've been asked that. Embellishment, dude. How do you embellish on this? To have embellished on what was written would have happened. Two things would have come out of it. It would have come out sounding so ridiculously stupid that no one would have believed it. And it would have pushed it beyond the realm of human possibility. We were right on the edge of pushing this to the realm of human possibility. I mean, who can do 1.6 million pounds in 28 days? That's pushing it.
That's insanity.
And to push to go any harder than that, it just come off sounding stupid.
I think nowadays though, the way society is, they want to see it to believe it. Like if you would have had cell phones back then, not like you would have done it, but there would have been video of you guys unloading this stuff, they would believe it more. I'm not saying this isn't true,
right.
but you see reality TV. It's all fucking made up bullshit on reality TV,
right.
but people are like, oh my God, did you see what happened? You're like, dude, that's all set up and rigged.
Right.
But they believe it because they're seeing it.
That's why
That's
it was
like one of those, like, you know, like they're like, bullshit, he wasn't unloading for, you know, whatever pounds, because they can't see it. They can't
right.
believe your words.
Right.
That's the society we live in now.
And I thought that I could maybe, you know, get by some of that awkwardness with regards to what it is you're saying by putting guys like John in the forefront.
Yeah.
John was there. He's a United States Customs officer. And Bob, the other two guys that were on duty before John showed up, they were actually chased us for 6 years before John even showed up. I mean, I'll introduce you to these people. And when I got on the phone with the executives at St. Martin's Press, my publisher, once I took them on as being my publisher, they wanted to set up a conference call with me and my literary agent, which is Foundry Literary and Media in Manhattan, and you know, to query me a little bit about, you know, the book, because they just absolutely flopped and loved it. I had Mark Resnick, who is their chief executive editor, and the executive of sales, executive of paperback sales. They had assistant publisher, and the publisher herself, Susan Robinson, publisher of St. Martin's Press herself, was on the call. And my agent's freaking out. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Just put them on. I got this, man. You know, and they all went through their, you know, a little bit of questioning. And the only question that Susan asked me, the publisher herself, she asked me about validation, because of the craziness of the stories and the tales, and, you know, and just everything involved. And I said, validation, okay, who would you like to talk to? I got Customs, CIA, DEA, FBI, FDLE. Who would you like me to get you in touch with? And she said, perfect. Perfect.
Hold on, sweetie. Let me roll one and light one, and let me go through the list. Which one would you like?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
And that was all the validation she needed. She
Yeah.
said, perfect. Let's do this.
And you know, Tim, you're doing a great thing. You're talking to kids, trying to give them awareness, and and you're doing the right thing.
My book is a required reading text for us Gulf Coast, Florida Gulf Coast University, because they teach the cannabis classes, because there's a lot of medical cannabis industry coming into Florida now. So they have 5 different courses that they teach. My book is required text, historical text.
That's gonna be
and I
great,
lecture, you know, several times a month for the college.
That's
you know,
great.
I meet the students and I impart them the history, because I also feel that not only, you know, kids, but as I tell this story and I do I do shows like yours, to get people to understand that for the first time in history, in the history of the almost 90-year history of this plant in this country and what it's been going through, people now have the ability to make a choice. Do I want to try it, or don't want to try it legally? Okay? And what I'd like them to do is, going into their first experience, understanding how it actually took place back in the day. I don't want them going into it understanding it with the experience of what's taking place on the Mexican border. You know, because that's just disgusting. That's just disgraceful to guys like us in the industry who never picked up a gun. You know, I don't want somebody going for their first try of marijuana thinking about death and mayhem, and this poor bastard who just went over the border with a bale strapped to his back. And, you know, if you show a picture to somebody of that poor bastard with that bale on his back out in the desert, and you show them a picture of a medically graded bud, and you have to tell them to point to which one they would rather smoke, you know which one they're pointing to.
Yeah.
That fucking nice-looking bud there, you know? So what I want to do is take them back in their first experience, and I want them to, the visions coming into their mind of that very cool dude Rasta man standing out in 200 acres of virgin bud, man.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
rolling a spliff in a banana leaf, you know, just digging life. Or the little Colombian guy and his family and his wife and the little white cotton shirts and pants and the little hat out there just picking the buds and just, you know, digging life, man. This is the feeling they should have when they embark on their first try of marijuana. not this frightful fucking scenario that's taking place in Mexico. And that only took place because I had a meeting set up by the supervising agent for resident agent for South Florida's Homeland Security. He contacted me and asked me to come to his office a few years back. He said, got some questions for you. And I said, well, I got some for you too, bro. So I went up. He said, come to the office if you don't mind coming to my office. I don't mind. So I went and had this little chat with him, and he told me just specifically, he said, you know what? He said the chain of events, or the sequence of events that took place after Southwest Florida in 1988, after your crews were taken down, that stopped the flow of marijuana, Caribbean marijuana, coming into this country. It literally stopped. And late 80s, early 90s is when Southern California starts home growing, and the Mendocino, Trinity, and Humboldt counties, the Emerald Triangle came into play. Now, what happened at that time was the Mexican cartels, the Sinaloa, they've been around forever. There's nothing new about these guys.
Don't tell me too much about the cartel and the Mexican, because I want to do a part 2 with you about why it went from Colombia to Mexico. So don't go there now, because that gives us me a reason to get your ass back down again.
We'll come back to that one then, because it's an interesting chain of events that took place.
I want the full story of how it went from Colombia to Mexico, but I want to break that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Rob's got something.
Sure. Can I ask him one thing? I talked before about this when you were going through the book and all that type of stuff. If I remember correctly, my memory's pretty good, I think. Didn't you tell me there's a special somebody who you talked to and you couldn't fucking believe who it was? On the other line, listening on the phone call.
That was yeah.
when you am I thinking that wrong?
When we were working out a movie scenario.
Yes.
Yeah, I had an earlier conference. This was years ago with New Wave Entertainment, and a couple of their writers that were involved in helping me put together a pilot script. So I'm with a producer, 2 writers, my artist attorney out of Chicago, and I. There's usually 5 of us on the phone having these conversations. Well, one day we're talking, there's a 6th voice on the phone, and it's about 20 minutes into the conversation, this other voice asks me, he says, tell me about some of the times, Timmy, when you might have had some bad days, or tough times or something, during that period. And I went like that, and he could kind of hear me over the phone. He says, "You know what? Just think about it and get back to me. You don't have to, you don't have to let me know about it right now." And I said, "Well, let me tell you right now, whoever you are." And I said, "Oh, by the way, who the fuck are you, man?" I said, "I've been having these conversations for months now, and all of a sudden I'm hearing your voice, And he said, you would probably know me. They were calling him William, or they were calling him Bill. He said, you would probably know me better by my middle and my last name. He said, my middle name's Oliver, and my last name's Stone.
Oh.
He said, but these assholes, my real name's William, but these assholes call me Bill.
Wow.
And he goes he says, dude, I got to say, from one writer to another, he says, I absolutely love this shit.
Now, that had to be the ultimate compliment.
And I went like, I was so fucking humbled, man. I was just like, oh, man, this is cool as shit. The guy that wrote Scarface.
Fucking right, dude. So now you go from this big kingpin marijuana guy. Right. Now you get Oliver Stone complimenting you. You're nobody, pal. Nor am I, nor is he. You know what I mean? We're nobody compared to that guy.
But it was,
And congratulations to him.
Yeah.
And not from the weed. And he called you about the authenticity of the book, because he's not going to call you about some bullshit book, right?
Right.
He's calling you about the well done work that you put into the book,
right?
And
and it's a book that's written for anybody to read. I left out the guy, those fucking $10 words and all that kind of stupid shit. But I wrote it using what's called the Chicago Manual of Style, as opposed to an English or American style of writing, which the Chicago Manual style is a lot more grammatically forgiving and allowed me to tell the story more to my voice.
The way it really is.
The way it should be told.
Right.
And some of the grammar, like I said, is forgiven in that style of writing. So I can be myself. I don't have to be that politically correct $10 word guy. But what helps too is to have a background from a gentleman like that, who I never thought I would ever fall back on. But as it turns out, things happen for a reason, obviously. And he taught me how to do a bit of writing like that. And then when I started to sit down to do this, I wrote the skeleton of the story at first. And when I did get the attention of Foundry Literary, I got attention of the co-founder of the company, and he read my story, and he got back to me about 7 weeks after this. He took it on his honeymoon to read it. And one of the things,
what a book to take on your honeymoon, huh?
We thought he was just taking it on vacation,
Yeah.
and it turned out to be his honeymoon. He said, "You know what, dude?" He said,
right
"I
now.
got to tell you, dude, I picked this thing up, and I just could not put it down." Then he asked me who helped me write it. And I said, well, fuck, nobody helped me write it. And then I thought for a second, I said, wait a minute, Tom Clancy helped me write this thing. And he started laughing. He said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, at the time I was, writing this thing out, I had a Tom Clancy book sitting on the table next to me that I would refer to as far as how his characters would banter.
You know who else used Clancy? Jordan Belfort for The Wolf of Wall Street.
Jordan?
Yeah, he basically copied off the style. Actually, he had Tom Clancy, and that's how he developed his writing skills to write the book of Wolf of Wall Street.
I used their structure. There was no plagiarism.
That was the word I was looking for.
It was more of a structure. The breaking up of the chapters or the paragraphs or the how they banter, that they go from one conversation to another, punctuation and things like that. I kind of picked that out of the book. I had a degree in writing that I got from, when I was in prison. I got through, and I got a law degree through the University of Honolulu while I was in there, which helped me significantly when I got my sentence, brought back down to where it should have been in the first place. But it does speak a lot for how I'm able to tell this story. And when you read if you listen to this and you listen to our conversation and listen to my voice and pick up the book and start reading it, you hear my voice come through the pages, because every single word that was written in that book was done by my hand. And I was contracted originally in the beginning through St. Martin's Press to put out an 80,000 word document. I ultimately wrote over 200,000 words and condensed it into the version that you read now.
Well, and it gets straight to the point. I hate those books and those audiobooks that they dance around it because they want the build up. But look,
no, the minute you pick up that first chapter, you're into it.
I listen to the audio. So basically, like when I read a book and they try to build it up, I toss it. I can't deal with it. Right. But when you get to the fucking point, but they think that it's the suspense. But anybody, let's just be real. Anybody who's going to buy your book doesn't want the build-up. We want to know the gritty, what happened.
Meat, man.
Let's get to the dirty, right? Because there's no nun buying that book.
We'll talk about how we got this in the next.
Hell yeah. Because no nun's buying that book, right? So we want to know, all right, Tim, give it to me. And you did.
Right.
Go ahead, Rob.
I have to say, when you're talking, listening to you talk this whole time and talking about the book, weird that I picked up on this just random thing. You said crick.
That's
right?
like Pennsylvania,
That's
right?
That's how I say it.
Yeah.
And everybody looks at me from where I'm in Pennsylvania. We go to my grandmother's house. It's the crick, not the creek.
Yep.
We used to go to the crick, and people are like, what the fuck is the crick? And I'm like, the crick, where the little water runs,
Yeah, with the salamanders and the crawfish. And
for some reason, I call me, but I'm imagining in the book, and I don't know, but it's maybe not that word I'm saying, but it's that tone. It's that talk. It's
a real guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not some writer who was paid to write a scenario. I literally sat down and it came from here and went right onto the page. Yep. And then,
those are the ones who
ruin,
but that's how you ruin a good story is when you pay some guy to write your own story because it's not you.
Add shit in there.
Yeah.
Ghostwriting, that's bullshit. Now, you'll see another name on the front of the book here. You'll see this guy here, Ralph Barrier Jr.
Put that up there, and he'll go to the wide thing.
Ralph Barrier was also
hold it to the other camera. Hold it to your camera.
Yep.
He was also a
lift it up a little bit, Tommy.
A Foundry Literary client, and he was brought in by my literary agent Peter to guide me through the publishing process, because when you write a book, I don't know if you're familiar with the scenario. You write a book, and if you're signed on by a major publisher like St. Martin's Press or Doubleday or Random House or whatever like that, which I had them chime in as well, but I chose St. Martin's Press. When you hand this over to them, you hand them a completed document, chaptered, paragraphed, page numbered, everything right down to the T. And these are some of the little nuances that I wasn't familiar with that Ralph was, because he was a published author as well through our agency. So he guided me through that.
Isn't it amazing how things happen? How things turn out? You go from this insane, marijuana smuggler, hauler to, jail. You get a decent deal. You get out. You write the book, then you end up being friends with the guy that got you, and you start to accumulate all these relationships. Then Oliver, imagine unloading tons and tons of weed that later in life Oliver Stone's going to call you, Isn't it just absolutely nuts? And you know what I respect the most out of all the shit? Money comes and goes. We both know that.
Right.
The fun, the power, and everything. But what you said is the best thing in life was your kids,
Yep.
daughter. You too, right?
Yeah, I have a son and a daughter.
Son and a daughter.
I have a 3-year-old granddaughter now.
Congratulations.
And yeah, I mean,
that's what he
all
says.
that,
That's
all
what he
that
says
money.
on his website. He's like, fuck the money, whatever.
Yeah.
The best thing that ever happened was the kids.
Memories.
Right.
Yeah.
Because all that other stuff can go away in
Well,
a blink of an eye.
Well,
Family is always going to be family.
Memories are
Yeah.
all you got.
I was gonna say, you always say that, the memories. So you remember everything. I mean, you remember everything. You could still look in your head right now. You're seeing it right now. Man, remember we're unloading this shit.
That's what I always say.
I'm seeing shit right now that we could go on for another couple of hours.
That's why I want to break it up so that we put all we can into it.
Come back and give you some
'Cause
more. of this.
how far are you away?
I'm on the other side, man. I'm in
About 3.5?
Fort Myers, 2.5 hours.
So you're not.
It's not that far.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
But that's cool though, man.
But it's well worth the trip because, for me to have the opportunity to impart this history in the manner in which it should be, and people are to understand this history the way it should be, to negate the violence in everything else and all those other scenarios that typically go hand in hand with smuggling and drugs and what people have in their mind as such. People, they talk about being scared and, with the Cubans and, going to Miami and this kind of stuff. Well, backroom, dimly lit backroom deals with smoke and guns and shit like that. Well, nothing could be further from the truth, man. I made $200 million deals standing on the corner in Miami and out in front of a Cuban coffee shop, dumping Cuban bread and Cuban coffee, and making, and then a handshake. That's how it was done. It wasn't done any more than that.
Yeah. See, and that's what makes it authentic, because a lot of other guys who write a book like that, they want that street cred. Nah, I mean.
And I also
I had to get the mean into a pirate. I wanted to see what he would do.
They also need to understand this is not a one-man show here.
Yeah,
this isn't me. This isn't all me. I mean, our crew in Everglades alone was over 100 people, and 100 brass, bald fucking men and women. So it could not have been done by me alone. It had to have been done by this whole entire group of people.
You guys were
I got to give these people just as much credit as I'm getting.
As you should.
I think they could use the workforce that you guys had nowadays, the work ethic and the people that want to work.
The ability to manage people.
We can't find workers to do anything anymore, and the shipping issues that there's shortages on shelves, and they can't figure out how to ship this and this.
Oh yeah, nothing's on time.
Shit. If fucking Amazon promises something, it's
right.
You pay extra for shipping, you don't get it. I mean, I think you guys had the logistics down.
FedEx is even bad now. Your thing was supposed to be here yesterday.
They're awful.
FedEx is even bad now. It's terrible. That's a whole nother. That's
kicked this off?
Part 3.
What kicked this off was simply, my sitting back and, I saw Blow for the first time many years ago in George's story. I'm very familiar with the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church that came out of Jamaica, set up shop on Star Island. They bought a mansion on Star Island in the middle of Biscayne Bay, and we ran a lot of their Jamaican weed to them through the gates, through the front doors to that island. There was only like 9 mansions on this whole island. They were one of them, And they were operating under the guise of Carter's administration at that time was making quasi moves toward legalization, and they figured, or plus our Constitution reads freedom of religion. Well, ganja is part of their religion, so they're thinking, okay, bring this shit into the island, join the Zion Coptic religion, and you can smoke weed according to your, Constitution.
Your philosophy.
Well, sorry, that wasn't going to happen.
Sounds good.
Sorry, nice play.
Right.
But their claim to fame wound up being like 1 million pounds of Jamaican ganja coming into the island, which was quite a bit more than that. But then there was another group of guys called the Black Tuna Gang, and a guy named Robert Flathorn, and what they did was, during the Carter administration's move toward legalization, or wanting to like that, they figured they were going to get a jump start and get a head start on this shit. So they set up their headquarters at the Fontainebleau Hotel.
At the Fontainebleau, where that guy got killed.
Yeah,
or the guy who owned it.
And they went down to Colombia looking for the stuff, and they actually used, at High Times magazine. If you're familiar with High Times, and they tell you the prices of the shit. They were using that to judge the prices on what they were going to sell and buy for.
Yeah, you remember High Times in high school? Everybody had High Times in high school trying to get seeds.
So they had about 500,000 pounds to their claim to fame or whatever shit like that, So I also wound up meeting, just by sheer coincidence, I got a phone number out of the internet from a guy named Brian O'Day, who smuggled weed up in Washington, up in the Northwest. Was bringing Asian weed up into the Gulf of Alaska, processing it on fish boats and putting it into fish boxes and freezing it, bringing it ashore into Washington and unloading it into tractor trailers. Well, they would have a box of regular frozen fish here, and here that a guy would knock over every now and then and spill fish on the deck, so nobody would think anything different. That's fish they got over there. Well, no, it's weed going into the truck. Well, his claim to fame was like, I don't know, 500,000 pounds maybe or something like that. So I got to thinking, George Young, Zion Coptics.
You did that in a week.
Flatshorn and O'Day, and you put all their shit into a pile, and it don't even come to a year's work for us. So I'm thinking, man, you want to hear a story? Well, back the fuck up.
I got one for you.
Here it comes, yeah.
They need a series on this.
Yeah.
I think your best marketer. Find some Snoop Dogg. Anything that guy touches turns to gold. I feel like Snoop gets a hold of this.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. He's stayed around a long time.
Go.
Yeah.
Pull up his website again.
He's a younger guy too.
Snoop. Yeah, he's like
early 40s.
He was just on Rogan. Smoking weed like a mother.
Yeah.
I love him.
Okay, there. See, you're jacked. So there's the Saltwater Cowboy.
That was me just before COVID. Of course, then the gyms went to shit and like that. So I'm back in the gym now, getting my pump back. So yeah, that's me.
How old are you, Tim? 22?
63.
Oh.
God damn.
That picture was taken. I was 61.
There aren't too many guys that are 62 that look like that, man.
That's what potholing will do to you, man.
I understand now. I fucking
Let's
understand.
all go. Let's make another trip.
So you can buy the book there. You can read part of her story that will tease you.
This was a bit I did. I was on.
You can't play the fucking YouTube on YouTube.
Yeah, no. I was on Pot TV and Cannabis Culture Networks in Vancouver. I had the #1 segment in Canada on the internet for 2 years.
You're gonna pop when the time is right.
There's the boat.
Everything's on his website.
Okay, see, that's the boat right there. That boat has hauled millions of pounds. That's me on the back. That's me on the right, and my partner on the left.
Look at the cop with the gun on
I know.
the road.
This is their roadblock.
Yeah.
One guy with a shotgun.
Yeah. And he's driving right past him.
Hi, guy. What's going on?
There's Miami's. There's the Time Magazine.
Time Magazine. Yep. Website's good, man. It was well done. I don't know who did it, but
Thank you.
It was well done. So you get it.
And there's Everglades City, which is also an island, and the causeway out to Chokoloskee Island, up to the top there. That little 130 acres of island right there.
That's your car right there?
That was my Cobra.
That's
the one I brought to Florida.
So you get the story, you get about him, a teaser that will definitely make you want to go buy the book or listen to it. You have it in every option. And again, go to Amazon.
Just put in Saltwater Cowboy book, and it'll come right up.
He's got Kindle audiobook, hardcover, and MP3 CD, and case you.
And if you
Have a
order
secret.
now, it arrives before Christmas.
Right.
It will arrive between December 16th and
Now,
26th.
maybe not though with the shipping. Everything's going. So
You know,
you
it's-
got to show them how to ship stuff.
It's insane.
Yeah,
now
yeah.
when-
You got to teach. You got to.
The
You need to go to USPS,
Logistic.
UPS, FedEx, and you really need to go to USPS.
USPS.
And please
Yes.
fucking tell them. Please logistically,
whatever
whatever the fucking word is, get their ass in check.
Yeah,
It's just
get
real
your shit
bad.
together, man. Because they like I said, Amazon orders books and they go.
Yeah.
But then they allow the Audible books and the Nooks and the books to catch up in sales as best they can. But in the meantime, people are reselling their books. I've seen my book for resale for as much as $168.
Wow.
I'm sure.
And the average cost of a resale of the book is between $50 and $60 and $70.
Well, if you can't get it, it inflates. But the problem is that you don't get the inflation cut.
I don't
The guy who
get
got it
money on the resale.
Right, the guy who got it at $11.99 or $16.99, he's the one.
I've
making the
already
bank.
made my
But,
once he bought it, I already made my commission.
but at least he bought it, though, right?
Exactly.
So we'll definitely have you back.
And
I gotta-
whether or not you agree or you disagree or what side of the fence you're sitting on, or if you're sitting and teetering on the top of the fence, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the fact that you know the book is out there. And if you read the book and you have you either agree or you disagree, it doesn't matter. You read the book. That's all I care about.
all that matters, right?
You got it. You had it put in your hands.
You found one way or another to listen to it and or read it. So if you were able to accomplish that, then
I get a lot of a couple of reviews. I get a lot of now. If I can only get it back from the person I loaned it to,
and that's a good thing.
that kind of thing.
I'm gonna order that for the next time you come and you autograph it for me. How about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'd be
you
happy
should put them
to.
on your website where you can autograph it. Buy, you should buy a bunch off of Amazon, put it on your website. and autograph
I can buy them right straight from my printer
it. There you go.
with the I get an author's
I
discount.
was trying to cover for you, but
Yeah, cool.
all right, Tim, we'll do part 2 shortly.
Absolutely.
Thank you
man.
for your time, brother.
Thank you for
been a
having me.
pleasure to
man.
meet you.
This is blast. Was
Thank
blast.
you.
Rob. You're the man, man.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.